Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for giving up your Tuesday evening and to learn something new. My name is David. I work for Microsoft, which I guess makes me your host tonight. And I have a couple of announcements. One, probably some folks will want to use the restroom. I'll tell you that it is go out this door and turn left. It's right there where I'm pointing. And also, now would be an excellent time to silence your cell phones. Good. I also want to announce that 1 week from tonight, Tuesday, August 12th, I think. What's tonight? Today's the 5th. Okay. 12th is the Chicago Cloud Computing User Group, and I'm hosting that. We'll have a speaker here. He'll be talking about Microsoft Fabric, which is a data platform hosted in Microsoft Azure. And if you want to find out more information, please register I created a tiny URL just a few minutes ago, and I wrote it on the board here and on the board here. It is tinyurl.com/Chicago Cloud Meetup. So go there and register. We'd love to have you. If somebody wants to get on the Wi-Fi, and not that there's any reason to, because there's fascinating topics up here. There's a sheet floating around here with the credentials to get onto the Wi-Fi. Right here. It's right there.
MSFT guest.
Yeah, so network is MSFT, short for Microsoft, guest, and then it'll ask you for an event attendee code. And that event attendee code is all lowercase MS Event 815. I'm going to set this right here if anybody needs to look at it.
Right there.
Yeah. Right where?
MS Event 815. You can read it. It's kind of tiny.
That's all I have. Let's get this meeting started.
Hello everyone, thanks for coming. This is one of the interesting event we had tried to host here, and it's supported by AI Alliance and AITP, and thanks Paul and the AI Alliance team to host this event. So this is most about creating a collaboration and open ecosystem for the enterprise and industry and research organizations together. So we have one of the opening statements coming out from the AI Alliance team, sponsored event, research.net. And one of the key things of open development platform is to design and accelerate AI research and product innovation through agentic automation. So today what we will do is we are going to have a flow of event is we'll have a startup AI, all the innovation startup coming here and presenting it. We have two startup founders, David Labo and Ajit Mahapatra, who will present about their startups, what they're doing right now, and then we'll go to the next slot of events. So I will hand over to David to go and present his startup at this point of time.
Thank you very much, Roberto. Hello, everyone. My name is David Lobo, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about Workmate, an executive assistant for you and everyone you work with. All right. So we all get messages with seemingly innocuous phrases like, let's find a time to connect, or let's catch up soon, when are you free? And on the surface, while these little small phrases seem straightforward, a simple request like this can unleash a Pandora's box of administrative work that can easily derail your day or even your week. So let me paint you a picture of what happens next. You get one of these requests, you check your calendar, you do some mental gymnastics to get time zones locked down. Then you shoot off an email with some slots, and then you sit patiently and wait. And a few days later, you hear back. Unfortunately, none of the times that you proposed actually work. And then you go more back and forth and back and forth. And after multiple exchanges, you finally lock down a time. And then you hold your breath and pray that nobody has to reschedule. And remember, this is just for one meeting. And for many people in this room, you're doing upwards of 20, 30 meetings a week. And so you can imagine how painful this can be. So, we're a small group over here. I want to do a little bit of audience participation. How many people here in this room currently have an EA, an executive assistant? All right, there's a couple people in this room. All right, so keep your hands raised. Now, of the people that have an EA here, how many of you have your direct reports also have an EA? So yeah, effectively, maybe one person, but effectively no one. It's a very rare instance that I've ever heard of someone like this. But really what I'm trying to get at here is like 99% of the world is without an assistant. And so that means that at least 5 to 10 hours per week goes straight to admin work every single week, and that's just life. It's the cost of doing business, and Workmate is here to change that. So Workmate is your executive assistant. It's an AI teammate that schedules your meetings, optimizes your calendar, and prioritizes your preferences. So without further ado, let's just hop into my email and take a look at a few ways that you can interact with Workmate. Let's see here. Bear with me. Okay, so here's a little demo email that's connected to Workmate. I'm going to set up an email, let's say a follow-up call with one of the organizers. Let's say Subroto. Let me go ahead and pull up his email. Let's see here. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and add my Workmate Jill. And let's see, connecting. All right, so let's just to speed things along, I'll do a little text or voice text over here. Hey, Subroto, thank you so much for organizing the event. Really amazing crowd. Would love to meet when we're back in New York. I'm adding my Workmate Jill to handle it, and yeah, that's it. Let's see. Cool. Little spelling mistake that I'll correct. Don't worry, that's not Workmate. And I'm just going to shoot this off. And that's it. Very, very simple interaction. I loop in my Workmate the same way I would a human executive assistant, and that's it. The meeting is handled. I'm done. Now, this seems like particularly trivial to do, but let's take a look at another more complicated example to understand the impact that having an EA could have on your life. So here's Jeremy. Jeremy's a marketing consultant that I work with. Let's take a look at this massive email chain that happened after I looped in my Workmate. Here we go. Jeremy, once a meeting was scheduled, Jeremy comes back. Like, sometimes don't work for him anymore. Honestly, Jeremy's just being kind of difficult, and all of this goes back and forth and back and forth. He adds people, just a mess. This interaction just to illustrate all of this stuff that happens within a single email thread to get one meeting scheduled, and this is all happening going back and forth with my assistant Jill. These are normally things that would have pulled me out of my deep work or the things that are most important and back into my inbox to handle this busy work. And this is the things that we're trying to get off our plate with Workmate. I'll show you one more example of how Jill, my Workmate, is proactive. So let's see here. I have this email pulled up already. So you can see here, I'm just, let me try and zoom in so you can see. So here's a daily preview that Jill sends me on a day-to-day basis. Here you can see my schedule for the day, and Jill's proactively identified a conflict. I just reach out to Jill the same way I would a human assistant to just resolve the conflict. So if she needs more context, also we've anthropomorphized Jill. She can handle whatever it is that needs to happen next. And again, it's not on my plate. I've gotten it off, and it's out of sight, out of mind for me. Let me flip back to the presentation here. Give me a sec. Cool. So the last thing I just want to mention here, because looking at emails is not particularly exciting. It's just a reminder that Workmate is an AI teammate. And like a great teammate, your Workmate understands your preferences and learns over time. And that means your Workmate understands whether you prefer calls in the morning or the afternoon, which meetings are a priority and which ones can be moved, whether you like to protect your 6 to 7 p.m. slot to have dinner with a loved one or go for a walk to wind down after a long day. It's not one size fits all. It's personalized, intelligent support that gets better over time. So, for the past 6 months, we've been building Workmate alongside founders, investors, and other busy executives. And as you might imagine, like we kind of saw in this room here, most people that have signed up to experience Workmate don't have an EA. And so the effect of having an EA on their lives has been absolutely profound. And what surprised us the most is that even human EAs and chiefs of staff love Workmate. Why? Because, as you can imagine, Workmate handles their mundane work and scheduling tasks so that they can focus on higher value and, frankly, more interesting work. This isn't about replacing the 1% of human EAs, or sorry, the human EAs supporting the 1% of executives out there in this world. It's about augmenting the workforce. It's about acceleration. And so today, to conclude here, we've built an AI executive assistant focused on scheduling. But this is just the beginning. We're building a future where an AI teammate handles all of the busy work so we can focus on what matters most. The work that requires taste, creativity, judgment, the work that inherently makes us human and drives our businesses forward. And now, I have to end a presentation with an ask. If you're a leader and want to give your who wants to give their team the executive administrative support that they deserve, please reach out to me. As you can imagine, I will loop in Jill and she'll find the perfect time for us to meet. And if you're not that type of leader and you just want to try out Workmate for yourself, you can try it for free online at workmate.com. Thank you.
Anybody has any question?
Yes.
How does it handle when you got a schedule with 10, 15 people that always have a conflicting schedule? And not only do they have a conflicting schedule, but you need to get the meeting done in the next 48, 72 hours.
Yeah, so there's this is just for those who didn't hear it. The question is, how do you handle very complicated scheduling where there isn't necessarily a specific time slot that's available? And so we do this in a couple of ways today, and frankly, it's probably the messiest part about scheduling, and the part that it's the reason I think that it hasn't been like completely solved already, which is there's a lot of context associated with who's more important, so like who's more important in the organization, what's the pecking order, who's most important to be on this specific meeting at the specific time, who's optional. And so the way that we handle this today is by providing as much context to Jill. So whoever is trying to organize the meeting, the way we instruct our users, maybe a 15-person overlap is maybe a little bit harder to do, but we tell our users, hey, the more context you provide Jill, she will be able to understand that and take action based on that context. So for example, who's actually super important to that meeting? Whose meetings can actually be moved? If you provide that context, which again, seems a little bit burdensome, but it's kind of on the plate of the people today to handle. So we are able to handle those sorts of scenarios, but it's a use case that we're building on.
And so you can build the priority as to which is more important for each meeting, or do you have to restart that from scratch each time?
Well, I think like, there's a short answer to your question, which is you kind of have to do it each time, and that's because not every meeting follows the same priority. For example, David's in Chicago this week, so we're going to prioritize meetings for David and his calendar. But I'm actually not the most important person. There's another person. My boss is in Chicago, so whose meeting is most relevant or whose time is most important to be in that meeting? All of this stuff is very contextual, which is why I can't give you a very easy answer. And so and it's not perfect today, but it's something that we're working on.
Thanks.
So we saw the conflict between Jeremy and Jill, right? What if there's a conflict between Jill 1 and Jill 2? How is that handled?
Yeah, good question. This is, luckily we haven't had to encounter, as an early stage startup, we haven't had to encounter everyone with their own workmate. There's a few ways that we handle this. When for our public product, which is like jill@workmate.com, there are people in this world who have the same assistant. And the way that we handle this today is if you have Workmate, if two people have Workmate and they want to schedule, you have the ability to just automatically book a meeting because two people potentially have been opted in. Now, obviously, there's privacy concerns or privacy considerations there, and so you have that control in your settings to be able to, you can say, people from my company, yeah, sure, that's great, that's fine. Otherwise, if somebody wants to meet and I haven't opted in, then maybe ask me if you want that to happen before actually going ahead and booking it. But the idea here is we're trying to reduce the number of steps that everyone, not just you, have to take for scheduling, but all of your guests that you want to meet with.
Has it ever, I'm so sorry, has it ever happened that so many tasks were there and Jill kept asking you, what do I do?
We haven't encountered like an endless loop like that. We usually either, if it does overwhelm Jill, if she gets a little overwhelmed, she'll just toss it back to the executive. But it's very, very rare where Jill gets overwhelmed. She's very smart. But in those cases, we'll just say, hey, this is, for example, if Jill's followed up a few times because someone hasn't gotten back, she might jump in and say, hey, actually, do you mind following up with this person because I've reached out twice and I haven't heard back, rather than spam that person endlessly. Yeah.
What is your pricing model?
Our pricing model. So our current pricing model, it's a self-serve price, like very similar. It's a self-serve pricing, SaaS pricing model, recurring revenue month over month. But what we're seeing is, and this is part of the ask here, which is, there are larger organizations who want Jill at their organization, and they have specific rules and preferences, and so we're actively trying to do these design partnerships so that we can set up like a more enterprise offering, because the needs of some of these organizations, especially the internal scheduling, is kind of complicated. It's way more complicated than the typical Calendly use case where it just, here's my booking link. But many people like us for that use case because it comes off as less rude than, hey, I would love to meet with you. Here, you book on my calendar, and if you don't respond, I'm going to ask you to book on my calendar again. Yeah, one-click integration, assuming that your organization enables permissions. Right today, the only thing we need access to is your calendar. So we're not reading all of your emails and all my email history. And even in the world in which you would like to give Jill an email address, or whomever at whatever email address at your company, have a workmate have an email address at your company. Even in that world, the only email address that we need access to be able to write messages back and forth is the workmate's inbox.
So last question. So is this only for scheduling meeting, or it can be take the notes also?
Great question. So today, as you can imagine, when you have one amazing teammate that is very capable of lots of things and you work well with them, you want to give them more responsibility. So we are starting with scheduling as like the core pillar of the busy work use case, but there are many things associated with scheduling and then beyond scheduling that we want our workmates to be able to handle, whether it's email management, note-taking, people ask for, booking travel. There's a million use cases because there's a lot of busy work that people don't want to do. And so we're really focused, at least for this year, to nail down the scheduling use case and the things associated with scheduling. So Once there's a meeting, maybe there's an agenda and there's prep and maybe there's recording. But the idea here is, can we focus on one use case, nail it really well, and then who wants to work with a different tool, who wants to work with 10 different vendors and point solutions? Workmate already has all the context. They understand who's who. They understand what's being worked on. And let's give that person or that workmate more responsibility.
Thank you.
So if there's any few more questions, we can have David can be available after this event is going on. If you want to meet somebody, can talk. And so thank you, David, for this wonderful introduction. And just to give a quick perspective of what we had planned for this event is we want to have the startups, which is the agentic world, and that is going, and a lot of people are seeing that. So we'll have two startups doing the same agentic world presentation. After David, we'll have Ajit, who is also have another startup on agentic AI. He's a founder, co-founder on that. And then we have an exec panel there after that, because we want to also get a perspective from the enterprise execs about what's going on in the AI enterprise world and how things are coming up. And then we'll have students, which is the idea and concept we were kind of working with Ron on this event is like, can we get the students who are graduating, who are in this early world of AI, what they feel about AI when they're growing in the world of AI, right? So, and this is the right time. Everybody's school starting next week here and in many other places soon. So we'll get that perspective. And then we're going to have a small musical presentation from the team here, and then we'll have Ron present his launch event here, right? So I think coming next is Ajit presenting his startup and taking us to the next world of agentic AI.
Hi everyone. So before I start the details about the company, I just want to introduce myself. I work at recently I worked at GSK, Glasgow Smith Kline. We have a big partnership team from Microsoft itself. We are working very closely with them. So I'm heading an AI team there, and one of my role is that whatever the AI's generative AI and agentic AI side, what are the initiatives coming enterprise level at GSK? That's what I'm driving. Most of the use cases, content generation, coding, what are the new things going on? That's where most of the things I'm involved recently. So with that say, yeah. So how first year starts at my end as a startup. So my wife, actually, it started from my personal life. My wife is a licensed realtor. So she was spending a lot of times doing, all these paperwork and everything. So she told me that you are doing a lot of things in the agentic AI world. Why not you automate the stuff for me, So that's where my journey starts. I started building some products for her, and she started using it and seeing the benefit of it. Then I realized that this is the times I should go reach out to the different realtors and see how they are responding to this. So it started like month of April when I started doing beta testing with multiple realtors. So maybe I just go through the slides quickly. So when I try to reach them, they have given me a different perspective of it when it comes to the realtors' day-to-day challenge. My wife was more focused on the paperwork, but when I reached to the more advanced realtors who were interacting with their customers and doing a lot of things, they pointed out a few more areas where I need to focus on. Like they say that along the transactions, property management, marketing, the client service, what I highlighted here, those are the big spots where they see a lot of gaps. Even they have AI solutions. Those are more like a scattered one. So what are the tools, enterprise tools they are using it, they see that those enterprise tools are coming with a chatbot way, interaction, AI interaction, everything. But every time they have to go to multiple tools to complete their task, right? So that are the gaps, that's what they highlighted. And they had a wish list. They have a kind of a co-worker which will work like a personal assistant, do it, rather than they go to multiple chatbots, do the things, rather than just one chatbot where they can go and do all the activities. So I'll show you one person actually. I met John. He worked at Signature Realty, real estates. And he mentioned that there are two areas where they're mainly focusing on. The routine task, the tools. When it comes to the tools, there are different level of tools, like enterprise tools, what they use, like Zillow, MLS systems, and various tools where they maintain the documents. And they do a lot of social interactions. They use WhatsApp, Gmail, and other areas. And all these things they do, like they spend almost 40 hours of time every week on this process. And they pay a lot of amount, like $1,000 plus, not just for the chatbot assistants, but also for, maintaining the tools license, And they say that, as I said, they spend a lot of time on those different tools, browsing and interacting with the chatbot, but they feel like there is still a lot of gaps there. Why they need to use 10 chatbots when they can do it in one chatbot? So the big gap they see that they are not getting enough time to find the new leads because of that one, because they are spending a lot of time on the routine task. And that's where I bought these solutions, what I call a digital coworker. So what is digital coworker? So it's an unified AI chatbot solutions where it's work like a personalized coworker, personal assistants. It and also it calls the different modules as a kind of agents, AI agents. And that AI agent is more like a workflow. So look into the different routine tasks like contract creations, property search, inquiries, like customer support agent, marketing content generations, document management, all these different space. We built up agentic workflow solutions, which we are calling within the coworker chatbot, and that's simplified for them because they don't need to move to different places to do that. And we see very good results. They saved almost 25 hours of times weekly basis. Because of customer support agent, they are now not missing any leads because they are getting new leads, and that's helping them to generate the revenue. And they are saving a lot of cost saving in the tools also recently. I mean, if I talk about John, that's what the feedback I got it from him. I just want to highlight this part, co-working with AI. Now, as I said, that most of the use cases you see now, we are talking about chatbot, generative AI chatbot and everything, but those are more like informatives. It's not like action-based. So that's one gap. And the scattered solution, what I already said, multiple chatbots, different systems, different tools. And once you do the task and job, then that's done, right? You don't have any history or any adaptabilities to continue where they left it. So AI coworker, the idea of the AI coworker is to make it actionable. It work like the real teammate rather than just doing task and then forget, right? It try to learn and adapt. So that's exactly the coworker is. So we are trying to train the coworker as part of this process through SLM model and trying to make sure that for that individuals that coworker get day-to-day basis it gets matured. So that's the concept here. It's just to show the benefits they got it as part of the using these tools, right? Product level, we have a SaaS platform which is currently running in the Microsoft Azure cloud only. We have defined few areas like workspace, which is more about the platform where the cloud platform, I would say. They have a agentic space, data space, and other things. We have our own in-house products to fill the forms, to maintain the CRM and CMS. Agentic workflow is one of the things which we've done. All that integrated with the coworker in the chatbot. So that's where we stand here. And we already started onboarding almost 50 plus realtors from different realtor agencies as of now in the traction point of view. Pricing model, we have two models, basic and premium. And enterprise plan we have, which is more like a based on the user request, how much customization they want to do in overall solutions. But yeah, this is the current status. Yeah, so that's it. I mean, so if you want to know more about this product, please reach out to me. This is my LinkedIn scan copy of it. Thank you.
Can it potentially in the future do appraisals, or at least advice about other types of real estate functions that are connected, to the purchases of a home? Appraisals.
Yeah, I mean, we started with a few of those models, but I think that's something we are thinking of. We are discussing how to bring it there as a solution.
That's great.
Hi.
Hi.
Is this optimized for the buyer's market or the seller's market?
Till now, we have done only for the buyer's market, just for the residential part of it. But once we get the momentum on this side of it, then we'll think about the seller side also.
In the event that, let's say you have a client who's a buyer and they're looking for listings, how will this assistant navigate through your postings of like outdated?
Yeah.
There's a lot of different outdated things on Zillow.
Right. So we have a one agent called property search agent, which basically what it does, the realtor is going to type, hey, this is my client, the buyer, and he is looking for a 3 BHK in somewhere in the Chicago and with all different conditions. So once the realtor writes it in the chatbot, what it does, it goes and look in the different browsers, including Zillow, Realtors, and MLS systems, and try to find out the top list of the properties and say that list out in the chatbot and say that, hey, this is the top list, properties which your client is looking for, and do you want to send an email to the client? So all this process is like smooth now, because most of the times finding these properties, they spend a lot of time. Now it's like a couple of minutes time, they can finish it off.
Gotcha. So it's coordinating with the agent through their MLS?
That's right. So we, for this signature reality, we integrate with it's from the New Jersey. So we have integrated with the Garden State MLS system. And also we integrate with the Zillow, and that's what they're using for the timing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you for presenting. So you mentioned in the beginning the realtor client was using a solution stack of like $1,000 a month and different various disparate applications. Does this replace all of them, some of them, or does it integrate with them, or all of the above?
Yeah, so it's not going to replace the tools what they are using. It's going to be integrated with that. We have some in-house solutions like fast form CRM systems. If they are already using the CRM in their side of it, we just integrate with their systems, and they get all the things through chatbot rather than just going to manually to the tools and to do the browsing. So that changes we have done, yeah.
Anybody else? Okay. If not, then I think thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is another important panel we are having right now that will give you more perspective of what's going on in the industry. And then invite Paul to introduce the panelists, and then we will get the panel started right now. So Paul, thank you for arranging this.
Okay, thank you. I'm Paul Dittman from AITP. I'm going to introduce the moderator for the panel, Dr. Lance Fortnow. He's the inaugural dean of the College of Computing at Illinois Institute of Technology, which is now going by the name of Illinois Tech. Come on up.
They were all here.
I'm here.
You're here.
Hi. Where'd Rajeeve go? You made it.
We made it. Okay, so we only have half an hour for this panel, not nearly enough time. So I'm just going to quickly introduce our panelists, and we'll get right into it. This is what?
Oh, I was going to take the mic.
Oh, you want to introduce? You can introduce yourselves quickly.
Hi, I'm Katie Heupel. I lead AI strategy and AI governance for CNA Financial. We're a commercial insurance corporation headquartered here in Chicago.
Kevin Rooney, I'm the CIO for West Monroe. We're a 2,000-person business and technology consulting firm, also based in Chicago.
Rajeeve, Kaul. I retired a few days back. I was the corporate, was the global chief revenue management officer for McDonald's.
Okay, well, welcome here. I just want to thank Ron for inviting me here and Paul for organizing all the panelists. So let's just start right where we are today. What one, can you just name one AI innovation that's really going on in your company or whatever you can talk about, and what kind of technology you've been using for it?
Thank you. So I was shocked when I joined a commercial insurance company and realized that most of the way we do business is still emailing spreadsheets around and sending requests. And so we're seeing just tremendous lift from the basics of using document ingestion, AI to pull relevant data out of attachments, turn it into structured data, help us make decisions more effectively. It's a combination of custom solutions that we've built, and we've been doing it for a while, but generative AI opens up a lot more capabilities. And also just giving everybody in the company access to an AI chatbot. We use Microsoft Copilot, shout out Microsoft here, and all of our employees are finding really innovative ways to do doc-related tasks, which we're seeing huge lift across the company. I think we've had 800,000 transactions against our internal chatbot and more than $3 million worth of value generated even just this year.
So as a CIO for a business and technology consulting firm that is all tech-led folks, we are also buried in emails and Excel. So it's not insurance. I think it's all in industries in terms of where we start. West Monroe is 2 years into our generative AI journey. We started, and if you think about what's most important for service, the first thing we started off with is how do we make sure our consultants are spending all their time with their clients? So we started with service chatbots to really make sure that any provisioning, any issues that they have are resolved as fast as possible. Chatbot stuff and we were able to reduce our cost for service by about 40% year over year. So straight to SG&A results for EBITDA. We went then into, as consultants, people who produce a whole lot of knowledge and no one can ever find it. So we have a platform that is about knowledge discovery, connecting all of our core systems. And so suddenly people can know this deliverable for this utility as a company relates to this offering that we did. And oh, by the way, if you talk to Paul, because they really know about this. So we've connected everything from HR to our SharePoint to our emails to Salesforce and all of those things together for search. So connecting that world. Once we had those together, we really started to point towards, we also have our chatbot stuff. So working with tons and tons of documents, summarize it, generate stuff, accelerate emails, accelerate communications, synthesize all our work with all our consultants. It's no longer that writer's block start, right? So a lot of collaborative work with the platform that we have. What I'm most excited about is we've now turned that into how do we deliver faster, better for our clients. So we now are able to do things. Our most recent product is one called Intellio Hopper. So big, nasty problems for large companies are things like data migration into new platforms. So leveraging AI to really take what we've always been able to do and modernize a platform through kind of a consistent workflow with a human in the loop. Those types of things over and over that we are able to do for clients, suddenly those messy problems that would be years, we've been able to accelerate those and make those doable for our clients and really add value.
Thank you. I'll speak generally. I won't speak for McDonald's. No longer work there, so can't do that. Did write a textbook on machine learning, AI, in marketing and sales a few years back. So kind of understand a little bit about the subject, even though I'm not from the IT field. I'm more on the applied capabilities. All the problems that you're talking about are really meaningful to businesses to solve. A lot of the focus, as I look across companies, has been on a lot of promises, which early stage outcomes are mostly across companies focused on productivity and efficiency gains. So if you think about a business and you think about profit and loss statement, there is revenue you make by selling, there's costs you incur, and then there's the residue, which is the income. As a business, you want to make more money. So this is a very viable area to go after, which is how do I connect disparate databases? How do I make things more efficient, which is the two solutions and product technologies that you saw, right? You're not seeing yet, at least in the few industries that I look at from retail, distribution, and so on, right? You're not seeing yet so much of an impact on the revenue side. But I think that's because that side is a little more complicated to impact. The productivity side gains are much easier to get. 2 years ago, you saw a lot of noise around it. Now you're seeing more use cases, right? I connect these workflows. The agent is able to read unstructured information, write a query back into the database, bring information back, automate that entire work process, right? So I think we are probably in the early stages of the journey, I would say.
Thanks. Let me jump ahead a little. Besides the technology, what kind of organizational changes are you seeing because of AI?
We've done a couple of interesting things, in my opinion. So one of the things is we just launched a whole new team at CNA that didn't exist before that's called Digital Workplace Enablement. And so these are teams, this team creates general purpose productivity tools like meeting note bots and chat bots, and they're the single source that owns them. It's a huge backlog. Everybody wants tools like the ones that we saw demoed here today. You know, every day I probably have 5 people come to me with ideas about things we could do with AI, and they're all right. Like almost every use case you can imagine is actually a pretty interesting use case for AI. So we need more capacity, people focused, especially on general use tools that can benefit the entire organization. So we're putting some more formal ownership and attention behind that. We're also obviously investing in our engineering capabilities to build more AI solutions and communities of excellence and things like that. And when it comes to hiring and upskilling, we're navigating the whole people cheating on interviews with AI thing also. And it's this interesting dynamic of you actually want developers who are using AI and who are comfortable with it, but you don't necessarily want them cheating on the interviews with it. So is it like one in person and one remote where they're allowed to use the AI tool or whatever the case might be? So we're trying to figure some of that out kind of as we go. Thank you.
Am I on? No. Here we go. All right. In terms of AI adoption is just like everything else we deal with from a technology standpoint is just as much about a people challenge as anything. So you are asking people to change the ways they work. You have to, so adoption has to be a little bit about what's in it for them. It has to be about making sure that they understand the tools, understand the why, know how to use them, and are incentivized to make those changes. So we have a whole work stream in our AI Center of Excellence around the AI adoption. For example, and it's different in each organization. So if you can think about us as a consulting company, typically you're measured by how many hours you spend with your clients, because that's what quote unquote generates revenue. It's really the value that we deliver to our clients that generates revenue. That said, they're measured by the number of hours. So why suddenly you have someone who can do task A in 100 hours and another person takes 500 hours, suddenly they look like a poor performer. So the adoption of it has to be really thought about carefully. It has to be modeled by leaders. You have to have standards in terms of the ethical use of AI. There's a lot around here that you have to think about holistically across the organization to get people to buy in and actually have that real business outcome and that business impact.
And to tag on to that, you're seeing change happen differently. So I travel a lot internationally the last 10 years. In societies where you have younger workforces, you're seeing a lot faster change happen. Chicago is a little harder to change, I've generally noticed. You hop across into Philippines or into India or into Korea, you will see a lot more pull towards new capabilities, tools, and ways of doing business. It goes back to what you said, which is you've got people that have done things a certain way. I can tell you, I grew up with using programming languages before Python came into place, right? So for me, it's so much easier to go to something that I'm familiar with for 20 years or 10 years versus a new capability or technology that comes up, right? So you've got to keep that in mind as you think about. Organizations are in the earlier stages, as I've seen, of changing how they are structured, and that is a domino that hasn't gained traction yet. So when you think about innovation and adoption, we are not on the vertical path yet. We are in the earlier proving out stages, right? That doesn't mean it'll be a linear path that you'll follow, right? At some point, you'll build enough momentum around capabilities that things will move.
Okay, thanks. We have a lot of young people in this audience, and so I'd like to ask a question about how should young people prepare themselves for the AI-powered future that awaits them?
I was listening to a really good podcast today, actually, that was talking about how young people are probably the best equipped out of all of us, that have the most to gain and are starting from a totally blank slate. So the rest of us are relearning how we do our jobs, and all of you are learning for the first time how to do them. And so I think, you know, I spoke with Girls Who Code earlier this week. Like, it's such an exciting time. There's so many cool things happening. And I wish I had become a developer. So I have a computer science undergrad. I wish I had become a developer when such cool tools were available, because how amazing that you can instantly get help, somebody talking at your level to help you troubleshoot your code or explain how something works. You just can't rely on it to become too much of a crutch so that you're not still learning it yourself. But my advice is lean in, experiment with it. It's a great way to differentiate yourself in your job applications, in your university applications, if you've got a project that you've created and something you've published. And with vibe coding and with AI-enabled development, it's easier than ever, but it's not totally easy, right? Like, there's still technical elements of it that need to be done. So get in there and play with it.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it this way before, but my daughter, who just graduated college, had her first in-person interview today. And I texted her, I said, be excited, be curious, and know your value. So I think those things apply, especially with new technology. I think they say the pace of change is never going to be slower than it is today. That's getting harder and harder for me to fathom, but it's true. In terms of the tools out there are getting faster. They're using a whole bunch of compute power, but we can get into that later. But definitely lean in, understand them, know that they augment what you bring from the human element, and just give you the advantage, right? No, I think Scott Galloway once said, "No, Gen AI isn't coming to take your job, but someone who knows AI is." We can get into that philosophically, whether that's true or not, but it's the positive thought about this in terms of the changing environment. So,
expectations will change with time. That's for sure. I remember, I'm talking early 90s. They had this thing called floppy disks. Kids won't know about it. Cards, anyway. Point being, you had mechanical typewriters, and my boss had an EA that would type like a dozen letters a day. The expectation was this person, right, 90 words a minute. And you remember electronic typewriters came in, the expectation changed, and now it was you could generate about 20 letters. My point being, you have to keep in mind that expectations for people coming to the workforce today are going to be very different from when I got into the workforce, for example. So that's one aspect just to be aware of. Two, I do think that when you think about kids today, used to be having access to knowledge and information was a differentiator in itself. Some of you may remember there were these things called libraries, which had this paper stuff that you went and tried to find a volume that somebody else had taken before you, and you couldn't get access to that information. And you couldn't retain most of it, right? So retention of information, access to information, that went away with Google predominantly. So what changed now? What changed is that information is not just accessible and retained, it can now be explained to you at the level where you are so that you can get an understanding and comprehension beyond what we could 2-3 years ago, right? I would read a journal article in a scientific journal, and I'd be like, boy, I don't remember this. Now you can try to get a lot more understanding about what's the background and how does this thing work so that you can say, oh, I understand. So it's not just about information, not just about knowledge anymore. I think it will be more and more, depending on the field you get into, about the way you use that to create differentiated value. And some fields, it'll be more evident. For example, recently I had 2 admin assistants that supported me, that question that was asked, so if even not 1, 2. One focused on travel, one focused on my day-to-day, because I traveled a lot. So now, here you go, right? That type of a job has been becoming easier and easier to automate over time. But my son's in the final year of medicine at Northwestern. You talk to him, he's wanting to be a surgeon, you talk to him about the impact of AI, he'll look at you deadpan and he'll tell you, by the time I retire, I think they will have stuff that'll replace stuff that I'm doing partially. Why? Because humans don't change that fast. Try getting the system to agree to allow me to cut you up with a robot. It's not that easy, right? So you've got to understand where you are and how defensible. In the theory of economics, we'll use the idea of moats. What is the moat you can build around you to protect yourself, is how I would think about it.
Yeah, before I ask any other questions, I was wondering if anyone in the audience had any questions they'd like to ask the panel? Oh, lots of them. Does someone have, do we have a runner?
So as far as AI adoption is concerned, I see 2 paradigms in today's world. One is on the technology side, how to leverage AI to, fast track your SDLC or ship your product faster to customer. The other side is the business, right? A lot of organizations, as you explained, approach this in a very systematic, practical way. Setting up a governance board, what can AI do, what can AI not do. But a lot of cases where I'm talking to customers and peers, I find that there's a mandate from the CDO, FOMO, we need AI adoption across businesses, right? Whether it is finance, accounts, warehousing, whatever. But then it's given to a vice president of technology and he doesn't know what to do with it because he's not getting cooperation from business. But from whatever you gentlemen and lady discussed, how did you see this challenge and tackle it? I'm quite interested to understand because I'm hearing this from a lot of people today on tackling adoption in business, or to put it in a better way, crack the resistance from business to adopt AI.
I think there's very little that can convince somebody better than a working prototype. And so we've had a lot of success with building out solutions to help, especially the executives, more senior executives. It takes a little bit more time for them to get their head around it. Maybe they've spent less time personally playing with it. And so just demos, like we did a demo of advanced voice mode chat with ChatGPT, and just, 15 ideas came out of our executives on, oh, we could actually use this for this thing, or we could use it for that thing. And that's a pretty interesting opportunity. I never even knew AI could do that. So demos and prototypes has been very powerful.
Yeah, I'll say a couple things. Definitely this is in the area of technology-driven innovation, which can be a dangerous area because in some ways you have a hammer and you're like, where's the nail, right? So to make sure that technology-driven innovation actually drives innovation and drives business outcomes, there are several things to do. I wholeheartedly agree with this opens up possibilities that for the first time in a while, back in the 90s as an IT IT person, you are showing executives things that they didn't know could get done. For a long time until this has come up, they've now been ahead of us and say, we want to do these 17 things, we get it. This is a little bit more, again, of the aha, I didn't know we could connect those dots. So the ability to demo and show and start to drive those conversations and those relationships is an important step. I think the other important step is around metrics and alignment in terms of outcomes, right? So it's definitely the what's in it for me. If you're talking to the CFO and they're charged with driving down OpEx by X%, this is a great area to do it. If you're talking to revenue and it's around the go-to-market strategies, et cetera, you have to align what we're trying to solve, what's really hard to solve, and specifically, again, which is another problem from a technology standpoint, why this is specifically the right approach. Because a lot of times people are saying we need AI. I have a whole long list of, here are the 17 places we need AI. It's like, well, that's actually ML, that's actually just workflow, and that's actually just data. So we'll help you solve your problems. Let's get there, alignment, and sometimes it's going to be an AI solution.
Well said. I think let's start with just accepting for a minute there is something called a trust deficit that has been built over about 20 years of selling people solutions that don't deliver, even though we all acknowledge the world has changed, right? If you start from that point of view, the second thing I want you to think about for a minute is if you're talking in an organization, I generally deal with very large organizations, that's been my life. So I'm not dealing with small companies, other than the time I did my startup in AI, that's a different world. When you're talking to large corporations, if you're talking to the technology people generally, you're actually talking to people whose goal is to spend money. And I led BD organizations also across companies. So, when you're doing sales, you've got to understand who you're dealing with. If you're dealing with the tech person and you're trying to sell to them, what's in it for them? Generally, they want to be able to put it on their resume that they tried some new technologies, they're innovative so they can get the next job, right? That's how they're thinking about it. So sorry to be cynical, but just bluntly. If you're talking to the revenue guy, you're talking to the CMO, talking to the chief supply chain person, you're talking to the strategy, CEO, right? If you're talking CFO, if you're talking there, they're talking P&L impacts directly that impact their metrics, right? The best situation for you could be if you can bridge between the tech person that generally has a trust deficit and the business partner. If you can bridge between those two people and sell them the belief, right? All conversations then have to start with belief. The belief that I get more out of this investment than I can get somewhere else, you have a chance to get somewhere. At least that's how, when I ran business development organizations, sales organizations, that's how I would think about it, right? Is directly connecting their need to the solution I'm trying to sell.
Do we have time for one more question, I think? Time for two? Yeah. All right.
This question's for Kevin. You mentioned that the consultants get paid for the time they bill, but AI is making things much faster to accomplish. So how are you managing getting clients to, if you're doing it this way, or maybe you have a different answer, to understand that the price now is about the value delivered, not the time spent?
So without trying to do too much of a West Monroe commercial, we did lean into fixed fee value pricing 20 years ago. So we use time as a measure. So it's like, okay, we think this is going to take this much, but here's the value. But we do say, okay, XYZ consultant, you should be able to bill 1,600 hours of your time for the year, kind of thing. So it's a disconnect. The conversation with the client's the same. It's all about the value. The back-end performance measures of how an individual is measured is where our specific challenge is. So there's a lot of movement in the professional services around here about how to price differently, how to have that conversation, how to have aligned metrics, performance gain contracts, so that, like, hey, I'm going to come to you, we're trying to solve this supply chain issue, and if we reduce the time from here to here, it's worth this to you, and our contract will be for 10% of that. Those kinds of conversations and those metrics that you agree on and gain share is where it's all going.
And you're finding them to be receptive to that approach?
It's based on the relationships. Some win, some that's way out there, but I think a lot more than, say, 3 years ago.
So I use AI almost every day, and I use ChatGPT, Box AI, and Copilot, which I swear stalks me, which drives me crazy. But I find, and I do everything from research to try to figure out formulas to put into models and blah, blah, blah. But it hallucinates. I mean, it definitely does. And so I scream within my organization, and I work for an insurance company too. I tell everyone, you have to double check what it's telling you, or big mistakes can happen. So we're all excited about it. It definitely cuts down time dramatically, at least for me and what I've done. But how do you ensure that your staff really understands what they're using, and when they're getting to the point where it is hallucinating, you know, what to do? Because huge mistakes can happen.
It's a great question. Every so often somebody will be like, oh, you rolled this tool out, that means you guys fixed hallucinations, right? So I can just trust it now? And it's like, no. I mean, I'm sure a similar answer, like we reiterate every time we talk about it that ultimately the human is accountable for validating the content. I heard a rule of thumb, which makes a lot of sense, that you shouldn't use generative AI for something if it takes you as long or longer to fact check it as it would have been to do it yourself in the first place. We try to talk about that. I don't know if there's no sort of magical solution to this. I do, like, in smaller audiences, I joke around that you should think of AI as a drunk intern that's like very good at things and very bad at things, and it's like an adventure to figure out which, and it might change day to day. So, and also we're doing this big AI August knowledge upskilling initiative this month, and we're having a people leader forum in a couple weeks. And one of the things we're going to talk about is, interestingly, studies are showing that the people who are best at working with AI are people managers who are used to working with underperforming staff, because you know that you can't expect perfection the first time. You need to iterate on what you get back from it, and we just continue to try to reinforce the messaging. But people send me stuff almost every day, like, look, it hallucinated. Yes, it absolutely did. And stop asking it why it hallucinated, because it's just going to make up an answer. It can never tell you why it got something wrong.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
Today, the U.S. government said yes to Claude, Perplexity, and OpenAI as a source of LLM for it. So they have taken it as that is the true system.
But they still hallucinate.
Yeah, they put a seal of approval to that conversation, but they are using it.
Without getting into the government conversation, but thank you. I think the bigger challenge is not that you're finding it's hallucinating. The bigger challenge is you are not finding it's hallucinating. I started out by saying that you're seeing more use in internal decision-making and cost structure conversations than you are on the revenue side. And one of the big reasons why revenue side conversations I've had, working with some large consulting firms that you've probably heard of, but one point being advising them some of the stuff, the challenge that you are always seeing is that the risk to your brand when you are 99.9% correct in your communications. Let's say you're Kraft, okay? Let's say you're Kraft. How much of your value will go away in the stock market if you are 99.99% correct and you have one communication out of the 10 million communications that go out every month that says something that is so off-brand that it offends people? And how much are you going to save in that process that you could justify that decision, right? There is nobody that's going to make that decision, and that's generally the conversation that will happen inside a boardroom where people will say, not doing it. Not ready for those kind of conversations. Having said that, I'm like you. I use these tools all the time because they really augment productivity. And you know what? There's a lot of stuff that I have no knowledge about. that I say, act like you are this expert, give me some information. Oh, that's interesting. I could have spent an hour searching on Google. Worth it.
Okay, one last question.
Everyone gets a question.
Thank you. I think talking about the revenue side of the house and talking about being able to use AI on that side of the house, I think it connects to your last point that you were making, that we're not ready yet. I think organizations, we've done protein folds with new protein folds, new innovation with AI, but most organizations are not ready to say, okay, we are going to take this in our R&D, we're going to take this in our innovation, we are going to take this on new market strategies. That has not come. Where they are getting comfortable is the operational efficiencies, is, okay, take the process, make it 30% efficient, yes, and we will charge 10% for it. That's where they're getting comfortable now. This is the first year I've seen them getting comfortable, but they are not ready to take it to their R&D side or the revenue side.
It's interesting you said that. So you retire, you get bored, and then people reach out because they say, hey, need help. Not that they think you know something you probably don't. But anyway, point being, helping a couple of large corporations working through their GCC setups in India. So fascinating. You were talking about cost savings and so on, right? The offers you're seeing are actually implicitly saying, I will put generative AI, and the market norm is this, and we will get you here, right? So the assumptions are getting baked in. Now, as these things are happening, in talking with friends and peers, what I'm finding is that you're finding more receptivity overseas where they're on the hook to deliver that value to tools like this versus here where you're on the receiving end of the value.
100%.
Right? So it's where the imperative is.
India is running behind it, talking about pull. They are going crazy with products and everything else.
So is the Philippines and Colombia.
So is Middle East. But it's crazy how latent we are in the West. And unfortunately, we're still talking about governance. Instead of saying, let's make mistakes, we'll figure out governance. We are starting with, no, let's put barricades first, then we'll figure it out. Whole different conversation, but that's where we are.
Yeah. So although I totally agree to the fact that students, like tech students especially, they shouldn't forget their roots in coding, Mark Zuckerberg has decided like recently to bring about a whole new transition in recruitment process. He says you can use AI.
Hello. Yeah, sorry for the little change here, but I think thank you panel for this amazing discussion. So the next one we're going to have, which we are thinking about, we have been hearing a lot from the exec and everybody, right? So we want to bring in the students who are growing in this age of AI and get a perspective from them. So we would like to welcome the student panelists come here. And Nitin, I think you want to introduce the panel, give introduction to all of them. So Nitin, over to you.
Thank you. Sure.
Oh, thank you.
think this one works. So, this one? I don't know if it works. Hello. Hello.
Turn this on. There we go.
Hello. Okay, this one works. Cool. So we're going to hear from some high school students on how they use AI, their views on AI, and everything else. So why don't we start with introductions?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vivan. Just a short week, I'll be becoming a senior at Stevenson High School. I founded an organization called Bridge AI, where we work to help to empower young students to be change makers in the field. Beyond just AI, you know, I have a really big passion for computer science. I know that's a very vague term, but I feel, especially when it comes to using data, whether that be in research or projects or other endeavors, using that to make the most efficient pathway to the goal, I feel that is where, you know, I really try to focus my effort on. So I'll keep it in that, and I'll just pass it to Abhi over here.
Yep. Hey everyone, I'm Abhi, and I go to the UChicago Lab School just a few miles away in Hyde Park. And in September, I'm going to be a sophomore there. So yeah, I also have a great passion for computer science. I mean, I've helped out my dad with like his ResearchNet endeavors and creating like tech support blogs and etc., helping with all sorts of Python and other related activities and automating libraries. So I look to keep working with agents and automating workflows. So yeah.
Okay. Hello, my name is Alexandra. I'm going to be I am a rising sophomore at Walter Payton College Prep, and I don't actually have a super ton of experience with AI as compared to the people next to me, but I do hope to be publishing a paper soon, like I think this fall, and presenting it relating to computer sciences, and I would say I'm definitely more into mathematics overall, but I do have quite an interest in AI, and it's just, I'm very happy to be here, so. Do I just give this back?
I guess, yeah.
Just got to pass it. So I'm Nitin. I just graduated from Illinois Institute of Technology, Illinois Tech, this May, and I'm currently interning as an AI product manager at a legal tech company called Payton Response. So the first question for the panel is, tell us about your first encounter with AI. So it can either be a course that you took in school or an application where you saw YouTube, and you're like, dude, this feed knows me better than I know myself. So what was your first encounter with AI?
I think I'll take the floor right now. So this was my freshman year in English class, and I'm just sitting at my desk. I'm doing some silent reading, whatever the activity is, and I'm sitting next to my friend. You know, we're just doing whatever we're supposed to be doing. And my teacher, Mr. Aguirre, he's a very funny person, right? Funny dude. So he goes, and he calls him like this. Very like slyly and whatever, but like he was kind of nervous. So he gets up, right? We just submitted our final essay for the semester. And you know, Mr. Aguirre tells my friend Jack, well, you know, this is beautiful. I love the prose, I love the analysis, but most of all, I love the evidence. I really want to just have a discussion with you. Let's talk about how in-depth how you feel about the evidence. And of course, it's an essay, so the page numbers are cited. So my friend Jack, he's very scared because he goes to his book, goes to page 64, none of the evidence is there. No matter which page he goes to, nothing is there. And it really struck me, you know, seeing my friend's face go like white and just like pure shock and horror, the fact that, you know, he was in severe trouble. My teacher says, Jack, you're using AI. And that moment for me, although it wasn't necessarily me, I would say it taught me something, right? That AI isn't, you know, a one and done savior, right? It's a tool. And without using that that kind of philosophy of critical thinking and really having ownership over your own work, it starts to become more of a crutch rather than a tool that's supposed to be used. So I'll just leave my experience right there, and I'll pass it on to any of you guys want to.
Yeah. So I don't have such a succinct story like he does, but I've seen AI in many places. Like I've taken numerous computer science courses for Python and Java in middle school and freshman year. So I've kind of seen it there, and also like it's around you, like especially with voice AI, like with Siri, Alexa. Like even my BMW car has its own assistant. Like you could be driving hands full with like McDonald's, and you could be wanting to, hey BMW, take me home. So it's pretty convenient in that regard. Now there are limits with that also. Like it would be nice to not have such hard-coded things, because like as we've decided, as I've seen, you know, like it doesn't pick up on all the words. Like if I say, hey, make this 60 degrees, it only, you have to say some keywords. So the goal is to expand that eventually and maybe get it for a more applicable, in a more applicable sense, so.
Yeah, I actually do have a story to share about this, and this was just a little bit earlier this year, my freshman year of high school, and I'm sitting in my English class, and there's already, for the past couple of years, there's already been a huge buzz about, oh, AI is this brand new tool, brand new technology, you know, it's new and exciting, and my English teacher assigns us this essay in the sense where we're supposed to. So we had just finished reading our book, and we're meant to ask AI about, and we're meant to discuss and debate with AI about its own perspectives, and sort of write an essay about how it changes perspectives as well, depending on the questions that you would ask about it. And it's just, my English teacher actually gave a really, really thoughtful speech in the very beginning as he was presenting the assignment, stating, of course, that we weren't meant to be using the AI to write our essay, but the sense that we're supposed to learn from it and learn from its perspectives, because AI is just this tool that it takes information from so many different sources that it's sort of, I was just pretty interested about it, and I mean, yeah, that was about it.
Just pass it back to Nitin over here.
That's cool. So a takeaway is that English teachers are super updated about AI, because both of you all had English teachers. So my next question is, as everyone's starting to use AI to help with assignments, to assist with assignments and stuff, identify one human skill that has become more valuable to you because AI can't replicate it, at least today.
I feel, you know, over my experiences trying to help build a community with my organization, Bridge, I truly feel, you know, from a student perspective, one of the most important things, you know, someone can do when they're developing with AI or trying to use it in a project, right, is really having that, in my opinion, uniquely human character of like storytelling, right? I feel when you're really passionate about your craft, right, when like with dedication, you mold a story, right? You know the exact purpose, the exact reasons that make you want to do something. I feel without that kind of fire, drive, and kind of, what's the right word? Kind of motivation, it's hard for other people to see the right path that you're also going on. So I'm going to leave it at that, but I feel having that your own sense is really important as well.
Yeah, so I thought you covered the bases pretty well, but adding on to that, you know, humans are great, right? They have a more very developed like brain and everything, and you know they really provide that critical higher order thinking and the emotional intelligence, because AI agents they provide the quick repeatable access to things that you need to be done, like all the mundane tasks, and it allows for the humans to kind of fill in the rest. So that's what I'll say is, you know, a human quality that, you know, really can never be taken away by robots or AI.
Okay, I'm just gonna say that I'm pretty sure there's a huge sort of almost assumption or stereotype around that, oh, students, now that AI is such an accessible tool and it's so easy, you can just look it up online and immediately use it. And I feel like there's such a buzz around that students, especially like, I don't know, in this newer generation, I suppose, that they just use it for all their new assignments. But I'm gonna, giving my own perspective as a student, I mean, I guess I know of a couple of people that actually use AI, but to be honest, there's not that many people that necessarily use it to complete their work, just to, because it is an incredibly helpful tool, but especially with the implementation of teachers needing to have us turn in assignments on specific websites that check for AI, it's just so, I guess there's so much of an effort that needs to be put in by teachers, especially just because of this AI tool that is now so accessible. And it's just, yeah, I'll just say that.
Yeah, there's definitely effort being put by teachers. We have Dr. Fortnow, who's wrote something about it. So so that's super cool to hear that you're empathizing with the teachers as well. So I'm curious, how has the rise of AI-assisted coding changed your views on entering the tech workforce? Are you more excited about it because every engineer can do so many things faster and better? Or are you like, okay, tech is not for me, I'll have to explore another career? Or are you just like, I don't care, you're indifferent? So what are your views on that?
I feel, just to start, I wanted to agree with Mr. Rajeeve, I don't know where he's in the audience right now, said in the last panel, where things evolve over time, right? In the tech field, things are constantly changing, year to year, honestly at this point, right, month to month. So I feel that the core principles of computer science, right, the things that people have been learning for decades now, will evolve, but the core understanding is something crucial to be a good developer. In one of the projects that I'm building right now, Spectrum Lens, which is something that I'm building with a partnership with a nonprofit that tries to help people with on the autism spectrum. I kind of have 2 days where I like to start building things. I like to have an AI on day where I do use some AI tools, right, to kind of develop quickly, to just kind of brainstorm, to kind of use AI as a tool to spark my critical thinking rather than to limit it. And once I've kind of built those frameworks, right, I kind of know what's going on. The second day, I'll just sit down, I'll use my knowledge of coding that I know so far, and I'll try to make like a structurally sound product. And I feel, of course, I'm a student, so I'm still in that process of learning, but I feel even at higher levels, that kind of sense of ownership that you feel when you make something by yourself or with limited assistance stays. And I feel understanding that is crucial to building reputable, robust works. So I'll give it over to you.
Yeah, that was good. So, I think that AI is super useful, and not just in the developer space, but also in like many other fields, right? Like in medicine, as I forgot who was saying, but in the previous panel, with like the surgeon thing, and how it can totally overwhelm the medical space too. So it really has applicability to all areas of expertise. So I think kind of branching out is gonna happen in the near future.
So I'm just gonna be honest and say, especially when I'm coding, right? It's really, really helpful to have the little AI like chatbot next to me, like literally right there. And if I run into an error or an issue, it can pretty much just help me resolve that, explain that. And I'm currently in the participating in the Girls Who Code summer program. One of the speakers from the previous panel actually, one of the speakers from the previous panel actually did give a whole talk about it just a couple days ago. And just with AI in this just having AI in code, I would say it is incredibly helpful. And I'm going to be honest, I'm actually not necessarily looking into a future of technology, but I can say that for the people that I know that are going into technology, it is an incredibly just helpful tool to have with you.
Cool. It's nice to see all of you are super optimistic about entering tech and stuff, so that's super cool. And I also liked your AI on day, AI off day. So I use a corollary of that. So I use an AI off session, maybe 30 minutes or so, where you just use your brain, so to speak. So that's super cool to hear that you're also doing that. The question is, how do you balance using AI tools to help with your research and schoolwork while also maintaining the originality of your work, of your thoughts and everything else? How do you, first of all, do you do that balance at all? And if yes, how do you do it?
If it were to be kind of how I try to balance, I feel the biggest thing to understand is the effects that solely relying on AI or not really sparking that art of critical thinking really has. I feel, I'm not an academic, but I remember that the MIT Media Lab recently came out with a study. They had their participants write essays with and without, GPT and other AI models. And, it showed that those who wrote, without these models had a greater sense of, not only a sense of ownership in what they wrote, but also had more brain activation, right? And I feel understanding the core principle that AI should be a tool, right? Something that kind of is a aid to that the immense power which, Abhi was talking about is your brain, right? We're humans, right? That's kind of what we are, right? We're our brain. But I feel truly understanding the fact that, it's important to be your own person, and that's what truly separates, us from an AI or any the whole sense of critical thinking. I feel understanding that really contributes to me having that personal motivation of, trying to rely on myself more than I don't.
Yeah, so adding on, I think AI is really great as a starting tool. Say I need some quick, rapid fire notes about, say, my 20 sources about galaxies, and I need quick notes so I can understand the material quickly. First of all, Google search has that great because we now have Google Gemini AI overview. So that's really quick to get bullet points. Also, you can use stuff like Notebook LM. So this is great for gaining general information, but AI really, its limiting factor is for finding those quotes in a book or something. That's where its limitations are. So especially for an English-based course or something, really the ideas are in your head for how you interpret it. AI is more of a hard, definitive thing, while your brain can be more artistic and creative.
I was hinting at this earlier, but I feel that there's a huge assumption that students just use AI super, super often in writing their essays and writing whatever they need to do for their class and their courses. But to be honest, and I know this is pretty, okay, to be honest, I know a hefty amount of people that actually really disagree, especially with teachers and stuff, that really disagree with the use of AI, and it's in the sense that if you use it to write your essays for you, then it's pretty unoriginal and just, you don't, and it does lead to a lack of understanding about the actual thing that you wrote about. But I know it is an issue that students use it a ton, and that's in the sense that's why teachers do need to implement the resources to check for AI usage and AI just, did AI write this essay for you? And they need to have all of these different ways to check for it. But I would still say that there is a huge over-exaggeration in the amount of just thought, just an over-exaggeration in how much students actually do use AI, because I'm going to admit that I do use it as sometimes to prompt something, but more than that, it's not necessarily people that do actually want to learn in school don't just purposely go out of their way to not like dedicate to not use it to write their own stuff. So yeah.
I also wanted to say one last thing on this question. Recently, OpenAI came out, on their GPT models, a new mode, right? Study and learn. And I was discussing with some of my, with my team at Bridge AI. I would think we should totally use this. Why? Because we were experimenting with it, and it just said things step by step. So if you want to learn about a topic like galaxies, for example, right? Instead of just giving you all the information outright, which I feel does kind of inhibit that critical thinking, that kind of like drive for learning, it kind of does have that step-by-step exploration process. So I just wanted to say that I'm really happy that, companies are starting to understand the importance of that kind of one's own journey in obtaining knowledge. So yeah, I just wanted to say, I think that's something that I feel more of models should try to implement, and that is something that I feel more students are going to be using in the future as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that's like, I loved everyone's opinion on this, and especially Alexandra's, because people will do whatever they want to do, right? Like, it's okay. Like, let them do whatever they want to do. And then, yeah. So that was super cool. So before we move into the rapid fire section, I want to open it up to the audience. So if you all have any questions, you can raise your hand.
I have a question. Okay. How frustrating is it for your generation that we still judge you based on whether you use ChatGPT or not? Is it our generation got judged whether we use logbooks or calculators, and that was frustrating. I mean, I solved it. I know the logic of it. It's your prompt. You've created it. Even if somebody added to it, how frustrating is it for your generation? Because it's frustrating as my kids, like, why do you care? Why do you care whether I created or ChatGPT created?
Do you guys want to answer? Here you go.
Okay. So just to answer that, I suppose, where it's not necessarily the factor, at least for me, it's not necessarily the factor of people getting upset that I'm using AI, but more if my teacher comes up to me and is like, hey, I know you used AI for this, but then I actually didn't, because a lot of the AI detectors, like a lot of the AI check detectors that teachers use to see if you used AI to write your essay or not, they're not entirely like 100% accurate, not necessarily, and it's more the frustrating aspect, especially if you get falsely accused of using it, and it's like, well, you put your time and effort into that, right? So, yeah.
So yeah, I don't really know if it's like frustrating in a way, but I do feel like the right people will use the right form of AI when they need to use it. So it's really up to them. Like, AI comes in all kinds of forms. You have picture AI, generative AI. We have Grammarly to help transform your essays. We have like photo math. You can like scan in a math problem. It'll show you the step by step. So it's really just up to you how you want to explore your learning and what AI tools selectively you want to use. So that's what I would say.
I feel that I agree with everything that these two have said so far, and yeah, I feel, just see what else.
Yeah, we have a couple of questions there.
First, I want to commend you all for doing a phenomenal panel. I am very impressed with all the knowledge that you shared, and I am kicking myself because I have twin daughters who are entering their senior year at Whitney Young, and I was unsuccessful in getting them to join me in tonight's event, but I will make sure when I get home, they will get an earful. But one of the things I've talked to them about, but I'm really going to hammer in, I watched a 60 Minutes segment not too long ago that talked about a new tool that teachers and students are both embracing, and it is Khan Academy's version of AI. Are you shaking your heads like you've heard about this? I think they call it Khan Amigo. And for those of you who haven't seen or aren't familiar with it, I was blown away, because what you guys are describing, a lot of teachers are going at it from a policing standpoint with AI. These teachers were embracing it and understanding that this was a tool that didn't just help the students with their critical thinking and learning and getting the knowledge, but it helped them be better teachers in terms of being able to spread themselves around. And to me, there's a lot of analogies associated with how it's in the workplace. There's a lot of resistance to AI in the workplace because it's like, am I rendering myself obsolete and that sort of thing. And I think, if everyone could take the positive aspects of it and really embrace and lean in, I think that would be very helpful. So I wanted to get you all's thoughts about that, if you've used it and what your impressions of it. And then the other thing is, you talked about it being used in industry. So I recently learned about a new product called Open Evidence. Has anyone heard about Open Evidence? So Open Evidence is a tool for physicians where they can tap into all the data that is available to help them solve patient issues. And there was a situation that happened, a use case where they were talking about a physician, on an airplane and a patient gets sick and it's not in their area of expertise. And because they had an open evidence license, they were able to gather data, find out how critical it was that they do a turnaround and get off the airplane as soon as possible, or whether they could, wait until they safely landed and get them assistance. And the doctor was like, this tool enabled me to do things I did not, I would not have been able to do. I did not have the depth of knowledge to know how to handle this, but with this open evidence information, it helped me. And so I think these are great stories that we should share, and we should use it to help everyone get more comfortable with the artificial intelligence and it being utilized in a positive way.
David, one of the...
Hi, folks. Very excited to see you guys up here. So I'm going to come at this question from a slightly different angle. So I'm way over here in startup world where AI is around us and like everyone here is riding the wave and fully embraced it. So I'm actually curious, are there any people in your lives who have like fully embraced, like specific people, teachers, influencers, who are helping you prepare you for the quote unquote real world, who are all for AI and just say, hey, there are some things, like embrace it, but there are some things that you should learn. I'm curious if there are people in your lives that are like that, and what are they trying to get you to learn?
I feel first I want to go to the first question. I feel going based off those, the specific example of Conmigo, right? It is a tool that I have used, and I think thinking back about the tool, what made it so structurally sound was the fact that it didn't give the student immediately all the answers, right? The student had to work and understand the concept behind, but it used AI to help make that learning process more streamlined and just overall more accessible. And I really feel that that is an example of like a win-win in terms of AI technologies, right? Not only are students, right, having the opportunity to have their learning experience accelerated through these tools, right? But teachers don't have to go worrying around like, my Mr. Aguirre about, none of the evidence in your paper is actually real, right? They don't have to worry about that. And I feel by kind of having this social contract of trust, right, between, the AI, users versus, whoever's kind of, giving a task, I feel having that understanding of how you're going to use it in a responsible way, that really goes the long way. To answer Mr. David's question, I would say personally, I don't really know that many people who have fully embraced AI. I feel, especially at my level, we're all just students here. We haven't even
Just to interrupt you, I'm sorry. Like, is there anybody in your life who's like, hey guys, listen, you must embrace it. Like, don't like. So somebody else in the audience brought up this example of, you know, I can't imagine, I did, back when I was in high school, but, oh, you shouldn't Google anything, you have to be able to use the library, you have to be able to, you know, Dewey Decimal, like, you won't have access to this information in the real world. You won't have access to a calculator. And like all of those things were ridiculous and I think slowed down like the progress of learning and adoption. So the question is there anybody that's taking the opposite approach, saying you must embrace this, but to get into the real world, there's some other skills that you should learn because everyone will embrace this. So how do you become like a functioning member of society? Asking as a parent.
Honestly, I would say that no. I would feel that a lot of people in, you know, especially in the school system, I feel, I would say the high school system, of course, that's kind of a place where, you know, kids have to learn these kind of like core life skills. There isn't that kind of sentiment of, you know, use the tools at your disposal, right, and kind of use your kind of best judgment to create something better. And I feel that is something that can be changed, but I feel the hard part comes in is how do you kind of balance it? It's kind of this like intricate balancing act, right? How do we make sure that, you know, kids are able to kind of use these tools to kind of be the most efficient version of themselves, but also how are they able to use these tools and still kind of keep that human sense of what I've been saying this entire panel, right? Critical thinking. So I feel that's a hard question. I feel I've been yapping too much, so I'll give it to
Yeah, so I'll keep it brief. So I really think the main issue right now is the educational system. It's not really forward thinking. Like it's still stuck back in like the 40s when they used to use like all kinds of basic tools to complete their learning, right? So by embracing these AI tools, we can speed up the learning process in a way that's more fun to learn, and also create a better schooling environment. So that's what I think.
These two pretty much said like everything, but a specific person I would say that actually like uses AI a lot is my mom, ironically, and because I'll just be like, oh, I don't know. The other day, we were filling out this document or something, and I don't even know. And then I was like, oh, well, do you want me to, I don't know. There's like a writing portion, something like that. And I'm going, oh yeah, I'll write this later. And she's like, no, we're going to use AI right now. And it's done in like 5 minutes. So, well, Mom, you're not supposed to do that, you know. Technically, you're not supposed to use AI on that. But yeah, she was literally just telling me the other day. It's like, no, Sasha, like I use AI like so often for literally everything. And I'm like, yeah, all right. But it's pretty much just.
I think there's a question here.
So yeah, like So I have
last question.
Okay. So great discussion and a lot of good points there, right? But yeah, I think if you guys like, I'm presuming you guys are Gen Alpha and late Gen Zs, right? So so just to understand that, if you could briefly add like what's one fear with AI, what's that one fear? Maybe one of you guys can maybe add, like what's that one fear that you'd like to highlight? Because there's a lot of researchers and senior leadership of Microsoft is there. It would be very valuable for them to understand that, right?
Yeah, so I think the main fear going around with everyone in the space is AI is taking over the world. It's taking away people's jobs, and maybe it's true to some extent, but again, you need that critical thinking is never going to be taken away. So that is a fear, but I feel like AI used in conjunction with human brilliancy is what creates the best future products and how we advance in the 21st century.
I feel me personally, the biggest fear that I have going to the future about AI is blind trust. I feel, of course, I mean, this entire conference we've been talking about, you know, the power of AI, right? Its power to make things efficient using data. But I feel there are still problems that exist. And that's fine, right? All tech is going to have problems. We fix that. That's just how the development cycle works. But if I were to go back to the last panel, right, the kind lady over here was talking about, right, hallucinations, right? And all these different things, which are okay, right? Because, you know, we're learning, we're building the product, things are coming along. But it's important for, you know, not only for the developer, right? But the user as well to kind of have, again, what Abhi was saying, right? About this whole idea of critical thinking, right? I feel kind of being human and putting that idea of originality on a pedestal will kind of save us from that fear that I'm kind of outlining right here. So I'll leave my thoughts there.
I would probably say that my biggest fear, ironically, is right now I'm sitting at this panel, right? And we're all, just as you were saying, we're sitting at this panel, we're totally empowering the use of AI. But just with, as a really similar point to what the other two were literally just saying, but it's just that you don't want it to necessarily overpower your own like thoughts and your own prompts and your own ideas that you might have regarding whatever you might want to write. And it's just, I feel that we shouldn't necessarily heavily abuse the power of AI, even though it is incredibly helpful. But I feel that a lot of people overuse it and tend to like just use it for the wrong purposes, and it's just, that's sort of my biggest fear about it.
Thank you, everyone. I think this is an amazing talk. One quick announcement, we have the pizza and some drinks out there. If you want to grab and come back, then we can continue the last segment of this session. I'll be back in 10 minutes here.
Break. So let me introduce Laszlo Konk, the CEO and founder of Next.ai Transformation Group. Laszlo has been a fixture in the Chicago technology and cybersecurity community for 30 years, 30+ years. He stopped talking after that. He's a serial entrepreneur who has lived in the C-suite and now has returned to his innovation roots. So his latest company, NETG, brings together seasoned veterans and innovators in the world of cybersecurity and AI. They're all about helping companies not just to survive but thrive in the face of cyber risk and AI. One of my brothers, a cardiologist, his hospital got cyber attack. So he was shut down for 2 weeks. So some there are growing problems in around everywhere. Their goal is to accelerate revenue and mitigate risk, and turns out Laszlo has been working with machine learning since back when it's called algorithms. He's also passionate about giving back to Chicago community, working with nonprofits and academic organizations alike for decades. So please join me in welcoming Laszlo.
That is the shortest introduction anyone has ever done for me, and I love it. So, but why I'm really here is my friend Ron. I'm so excited to be introducing him. Dragged me all the way down here and said, "What is going on here today?" And it turns out I am reinvigorated and re-energized. I loved this last panel. Alexandra and the rest of the, did I get your name right? Okay, good. I'm old, so I forget these things. I started my first software company when I was 14. You know how many lawns I had to cut and how many winter sidewalks I had to shovel to take out a $600 a month ad in a magazine to sell software? And now we're playing with AI on every desktop. And if you want to publish an app, it's on a global store. I want to be 18 again. Well, for other reasons too, but I want to be 18 again. This is such an exciting time. And who was the one that talked about the fear? Who brought up the fear? What is our fear? When that question came up, I'll tell you, I thought about calculators. I remember in school, you can't use a calculator. I'm seeing the same boomer, maybe not Gen X, because I'm early Gen X reaction, is like, oh, you can't use that tool here. Let's see, you want me to do the drudgery and stay at lower level thinking instead of escalating myself to higher level thinking. So, anyways, the panel, excellent. Thank you, young people, you've given me hope again. All right. But the reason I'm here now is to introduce Ron, so I'm going to make this quick. This morning he drops this like 30-page intro thing on me, and I tried to cut it down. Anyways, I met Ron almost 10 years ago in an event similar to like this, and we decided we liked the looks of each other, and we got together and hosted a series called IBM Open Executive Table, where we interviewed C-suite, particularly around CIOs, information technology, cybersecurity, and risk, and things like that. And we've been collaborating on projects ever since. So how do I make this short? Ron is a true visionary, and he's taken a lifetime of experience and expertise and poured it into his newest ventures. You've been with IBM for 28 years, and you were the head of Center for Advanced Studies. Did I get that right? As well as collaborating with CAS India, CAS Australia, and CS Africa. But tonight, the reason we're here is you're actually launching 2 different platforms. The first one, we're going to take a very first look at a minimum viable product for open development platform, and it's a revolutionary system that automates the entire life cycle of a product, from development and testing and all the way to deployment. So built on top of this platform is a second company, ResearchNet.ai, and this is where the magic really happens. Through collaborations with universities and organizations worldwide, ResearchNet.ai aims to reduce time to market for new products at blazing speeds. Tonight you'll learn how you can join this network to gain insights and build products faster than ever before. And no, I did not use AI to write this. In his spare time, we both have lots of courses spare time. Ron is a mentor at the Polsky Center and leader in several communities, including the AI Camp and AI Alliance. And if he didn't have enough to do, any cricket fans out here? He is also the founder of the Chicago Panthers. He's a remarkable entrepreneur and a wonderful person to know. Please join me in welcoming Ron to the stage.
Thanks, Michael. And yes, indeed, it was a very good meeting, and I think the top of the Aon Center, right, in one of the presentations you were giving on cybersecurity, and we have been trying to collaborate ever since. So thanks, Laszlo, for this introduction, and I can see all my friends here, so I'm very glad to see all of you guys. I see friends from my school, Indra and Shrutu are there. I see friends from my college, Shantanu has traveled all the way from San Francisco to join us. And of course, I'm going to be collaborating with him. And by the way, he's an ex-NASA scientist, so let's wait until he gets onto the podium. So I see Nitin here. I see Ricky. Ricky's sponsoring the samosas, by the way. Okay. So if you like samosas, okay, thank Ricky, not me or AI Lands and all these guys. Okay. So of course, open development is basically what I used to do in Center for Advanced Studies in IBM for so many years. The Center for Advanced Studies is our wing where we collaborate with universities and research and try to work with them on a day-to-day basis with students. I see Jeff here. Yeah, he's raising his hand. Lance is here too from Illinois Tech. Jeff and I go a long way trying to network telescopes all across the world, which is a great project for me. And I was always fascinated by telescopes growing up. And this is one of those fascinating. I see Daria. I collaborate with her on something you'll see in a few slides afterwards. She actually leads the EVL Center for what is known as Cave 2. It's a virtual reality and 360 degrees. It's an amazing thing. I'll let her talk about it. Okay. So let's move on a little bit, if I can. Okay, that changed. Oh, that's about me. Okay, those are the 20 pages that Laszlo was referring to, I guess. So I'm going to talk about two things. First of all, open development platform. This has been there for a little while, and this shall always remain open. So I was thinking when I left IBM whether to keep it open or split it up, and we got to monetize somehow, right? So and have some products built on top of it. This shall always remain open. We shall always have collaborations with universities, with open source, and that's how we're going to build our systems from the ground up. So that is the whole idea behind open development. So this goes way back, and my collaboration with AI Alliance. AI Alliance is actually sponsoring this event. So we got to talk about AI Alliance. They actually, this is a great collaboration between AI companies. Multiple companies are there. Started with IBM and Meta. Since IBMers are leading the process, I know most of them. We're leading it, Dean and Dave. Thanks to Dave Nelson for sponsoring this event. And there's 100+ organizations there. Mine is a tiny one inside this. So that's AI Alliance. Oh, here. That's actually not a screenshot. That's true. We're there. Okay. Gotta talk about CAS. So Center for Advanced Studies is one of the premium places. We used to give a lot of grants to universities and work with universities on research initiatives. Obviously, things have gone a little south from there. We don't have as much funding as we used to. Started in Canada. Canada CAS was the first one, and then it proliferated all over the world. I was leading the Chicago and then Midwest, and then after Andy left. Andy's on the Zoom call, by the way. So Andy Windows, amazing person. He used to lead Center for Advanced Studies worldwide, the whole program worldwide. Amazing person. I got a chance to work with him for almost a decade. Thanks, Andy. Okay, so what is ResearchNet? So ResearchNet is, first of all, an automation platform. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to build products in an automated manner. So obviously, there's a part of it which requires AI. We embrace AI. We don't hate AI. We love AI, right? But AI cannot solve all your problems. So we have other things. I've been working with Rational, when Rational got part of IBM with some of these great guys, Rand Selleck and all these guys. And we always looked at things in terms of patterns. So I'm very big into patterns. Pattern engineering is at the bottom of this automation. That's why it actually works. Then we have, oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Much nicer. Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. Thanks for sponsoring this room and arranging everything and showing me how to connect to this thing. Okay. So automation platform, yes. we're trying to automate stuff. This will be available, you don't have to take pictures. By the way, the whole presentation will be available. However, the presentation in the presentation format cannot be shared really. It has come to more than 700 megs, so you can imagine there's a lot of material in there. We'll cover some of that as quickly as we can, okay? And there's a demo, so stay on for the demo. Okay, so process engineering. This is a very, very big thing. There's very complex processes that are there. A lot of people are talking about having agentic networks and stuff, but they're just communicating with agents. Some of the companies I'll show how we are doing it, and we are going to integrate with all these other agentic frameworks to be able to do what needs to be done. So I've been talking about it for a while. Now it's time to show parts of it. Obviously, this is an MVP. We don't have everything working, but we'll get there. Okay? Research network. Yes, that's a network of us working together, creating innovative products and all that. And of course, you need support and services to do anything. Okay? So if you don't know how to work with the platform, we'll show you. We'll have documentations, and then we'll have some services on top of it. And then we'll extend it. We don't want to be a services company. I have collaborations with a lot of services organizations already, Ricky being one of them, and Emil is here too. So all of them have their own organizations and entities, by the way. So, Nitin, another one, but he's building some cool stuff. So Nitin, maybe you can talk about it. He's building foldable helmets. Okay, so that's cool. I don't know whether I should talk about it or not, but anyways, I did. So there you go. So all these innovation guys are here. That's what the network is for, to have free exchange of ideas and stuff. So let's see what we are trying to do. So we are focused on building business applications. So a lot of people say that, but the thing is, business applications are extremely, extremely complex. How can we automate that? How can we actually interpret? This one? We're good? Okay. So how are we going to, you can get the whole visuals, so don't worry about taking pictures. So, okay. So business applications is what we're trying to do. We want to go through the complete development life cycle, not just the front end or some REST APIs or something getting generated. We want the whole thing to be automated. That is always our goal. We want to move away from probabilistic coding to more deterministic sort of coding, and I'll tell you what that means in a little bit. Regeneration of artifacts, so that is a huge problem right now with LLM-based systems. If you give it prompts, it'll generate something for you. Next time you give the same sort of prompts, it'll give you a slightly different code. Now you don't know which code to use because, well, even if one variable is changed, it's not the same code. Now you need to test it again. So, okay. So yes, test automation frameworks can also be automated, but are they reliable? So you have to test the testing first before you can test the actual code. So all these problems we're trying to solve. Okay. Business process, and then okay. So I come from the world of MQ and message brokers and all that stuff. Work with the Thursday guys night after night, 3 in the morning. So yes, so all these data structures are extremely, extremely complex. It is not simple. The mappings and stuff that AI is doing today, they're, I'll say, very, very simplistic. So if I take data from, say, SAP and try to send it to Oracle Financials, simple thing. There's a lot of mapping. I used to do a lot of those things with an IBM product called ACE. It's now called ACE. It used to be called Message Broker. But anyway, so those are problems we want to solve eventually. Let's go through the cycle. So, okay, so developer develops something, then it has to be tested. Test scenarios has to be generated for proper things. Then you have business processes, that needs to be analyzed, and you have to analyze replication patterns, matching, and all that stuff, code fixes, right? This is the whole life cycle. And that is where we want to get to. How do we get there? Okay? So at the bottom layer, this is our open development platform. Again, completely open. At some point, I'll release it. Obviously, it's not stable yet to be released. But yes, the idea is anyone can use it. They can build products on top of it. And like this one, right? Open assets. So like the telescope project I was telling you about, completely open. We work with university students to build it. Those are open assets. We do open projects. Those are capstone projects and things like that. So everything remains open. Things can also be built which are completely, like if you want to commercialize something, you want to keep something confidential, you want to build patents and stuff on it, yes, we'll address all of that. Classrooms, that is another thing. We used to have a product, actually at IBM. I was involved in that pretty much. We'll tell you the story later on. I don't want to get into that, but yes, it's sunsetted, so there's a gap that I usually see there. Okay? And of course, we want to support all the cloud platforms. And our goal is to keep everything end-to-end open source so that anyone can run it even on their laptop, at least to a certain extent. So even if you can't run, say, a 40 billion parameter model, can you run the 1 billion parameter one on your laptop? Yes, I will show you that we can. And that's can get you to at least certain levels. Do we always need 40 billion or 1 trillion parameters? No, we don't. Okay, so there's a little bit of history in how our project lifecycle development started way back in 1910. Most of the folks who were building code, generating code, they're not actually following any of these processes and all that stuff. There's a lot of history, even waterfall, great idea. Your dependencies are on different tasks that you're performing. It's very difficult to show that on a Kanban board, for instance, right? So all of these concepts, ideas are great, can be automated that. That is the idea. And now we have moved to DevOps, right? Again, I cannot have a presentation without some history lessons in them. If you see, you followed all my presentations. 3 amigos. Way back in like 2002 or something, I was trying to do some case tooling and stuff, automation. I love automation, as you can see. So I was trying to create something that was actually extended from UML, not knowing that UML 2 is already being worked by these guys. So I met 2 of them, Brady, Coach, and Radler at the time. Don't really expect responses from them much. But anyways, great guys. So that's that. Case tooling. Been there forever. We, in the AI world, some of us are forgetting about this, but case tooling, all based on patterns, all based on these great ideas, started, and this whole idea of no-code coding has been there for a long time. Sketchpad was released in 1963 in fact. Logo blocks and eventually Mindstorms and Scratch created by MIT. It's a long history of all this stuff. Even Lotus was created because, I don't want to write an equation, can we do something, some calculations and things like that, right? So eventually that went all the way to Microsoft's IntelliCode, right? First code generator, and then OpenAI came out with Codex, and now everyone uses Copilot. Or some places, some organizations make it mandatory to use Copilot. Okay, so what are we gaining out of it? You're getting something that's just the starting point of my development path. So yes, I was searching for a sample code all the time. Yes, that can be done. But can it actually produce production code or not is a whole different story. Okay? So this is not a presentation on all the tools that are available. We will have a report at the end of the year. My students from Ghana University, Kenu State University, they're actually working on a report, and we'll present that, lovable, and all these other things. So that's the starting point of our coding, because that obviously helps us few days of coding, not months of coding, but okay. Rise of AI agents. This is directly taken from one of my talks I gave at AITP recently. So you cannot have a presentation in 2025 without talking about agents. So there you go. So if you want the whole presentations, just go to my website and or just ping me. I'll give you the presentation. Okay. Oh, I forgot to put some comments on the side of this. Okay. So as you know, I was pretty busy fixing code till 3 in the afternoon. I'll tell you what we fixed while I was sitting there, right here. Okay. And one of my lead developers, he's in India with them. He sent me some code, and we'll talk about that when we get there. Okay. So Pattern engineering. What is pattern engineering? Pattern engineering is not just you get some code and then patternize it and just replicate it thousands of times. You're just replicating back. Cool. So there's no way out. You have to structure it. You have to see how the reusability of the code is, apply best practices, and then you go to pattern engineering. And I will tell you why it's very important as we go along. Okay? So here, what we're trying to do is we'll support all the development stack all the way from the bottom to the top, and then obviously through the pipeline you can go to any of the targeted environments. Z, very, very important. A lot of people are not paying any attention. There's certain things that only run on Z. P, extremely important, because that's the only hardware accelerator that can actually use quantum safe algorithms today. So hardware accelerator, yes, we have 4 quantum safe algorithms now. Can we run it? No, it's gonna just stop working. My PC is gonna stop working if I try some stuff. So you need hardware accelerators. All these environments are very, very important. We're gonna automate all the way down to the Linux environment, right, for Linux deployments. Hypervisor is basically hardware dependent, and then we don't build hardware, we just write code. Okay? There may be something, right? Okay, so where are we today? So this is our first major use case. Obviously we've been working on different things over a period of time. Main use case. So can we actually accelerate real research through our network? So that is the goal, right? So what does people do? First of all, what does people do? When we have to do a research or there's a PhD program, a few students get together, come up with some ideas, work with their professor, and eventually get to this point, right? Read a lot of papers, see what is relevant, what is not relevant, what is where we want to take the research to, is it even relevant, and all that stuff. Now, there's a use case that was brought up to me. There's this research institute in India, and there's more than 1,000 PhDs in that research institute. So when I was talking to the top, I think, and he owns the organization actually. So I don't know what his exact designation is, but he owns the organization. So he has all the powers he wanted. So like, okay, so we are doing so many research. Is there any overlap? How can we figure out if there's overlaps in the research? And I'm sure there's lots of overlapping research that's going on. Just a guess. I don't know. I haven't studied it. I have no way of studying it until I create something that can actually analyze all this text and all that stuff that is published, and then create some, say, knowledge graphs and vector databases that I can actually query and understand what the heck these papers are talking about, right? And then I can come to some conclusion, okay, there's an overlap or not, or maybe I want to go in a different direction, maybe in chemistry. I have no knowledge of chemistry. Okay, maybe I can learn about chemistry and do this, right? And go in a different direction if I have all the knowledge in the world compiled together in one place. So that is the whole idea behind this. Now, what do we want to do? Not just process documents. We also have lots of these PDFs have pictures in them. Can we actually interpret all the pictures? Can we interpret the y-axis, x-axis, what is the scale, what are the things in it, what do those dots represent? So that is where we want to get to. Are we there? No, we are not there. I'll talk about Abhi is here. Abhi Ali, he's a professor at Northwestern as well as University of Chicago. He gave me a team of 3. Forrest was here. Forrest disappeared. No, he's there. Okay. So Forrest, he's one of my students. What should I call? Avid student. Oh, Hussein is here. Okay. Thanks for coming, Hussein. I saw you, and then I don't know where you went. So anyway, so with that team, actually I will show you in Hong Yu's word what he's actually been able to achieve. Not an easy thing to do. So he's looking into that as Diptam and Hari and some of these other guys. We've been looking into the pipeline to get the knowledge graph, and I'll show you where we are and where we want to go, and where the research is. Okay? Now, I've been talking for, I don't know how many minutes. I never look at my watch when I start talking, and until people just kick me out of the room. Okay. And that honor should lie with David that I do today. Until you kick me out, I will keep it on. Okay, so there you go. And you know, that's why my presentations become so good. 5 minutes. Okay, yeah, I think you all want to see something live demo. My lead developer is waiting on Discord to give the demo to you guys. So let me first explain what we're trying to do here. So our main pipeline here is coming from a message through the Discord server. Okay, so we can send any commands through the Discord server. There's a Discord bot we created, and then there's a Redis pops up engine which sends it to the RAG processor, which searches the database, the vector database for information, goes to the 8K agent, and then goes to some serving host. I'll come to this, how the industry is moving and where we're going with this, so that I have a different diagram for that. Anyways, so these are ways you can actually host multiple models. So we can support all these and more, right? Olama, Hugging Face, Cloud, Google Cloud, we've already tested that. That's why they're on the screen. It can be anything, right? Anything that uses an API, anything that is supportable through Hugging Face's model. I'll come to that. And the Olama is slightly different. Okay. Anyway, so all these models that you see on the top models that we have, it's already tested. We are not going to switch these models today. They take a huge amount of time, right? Running on my laptop or a laptop. So anyways, Ditam is there. Hey Ditam, we are only testing with Gemma 3 today, right? Ditam? Still there? Still awake? I think he's on mute. He's like me, we never sleep. So he's got to be there. Okay, so let me see where. Can you hear me? Or actually, can anyone hear me from Zoom? That will be a problem to coordinate. Oh, no sound. Someone saying, Professor Noble Arunava, he's actually a professor from University of South Carolina. So I'll show you a slide where what we're doing there. We can hear you. Okay. I can't hear. Oh, that is because I have stopped the speaker here. Okay. Hello. Can you guys hear me? Can you say something to them? Hello. Oh, Professor Osari is also there. We can hear you, I can't hear them. So that is a problem.
Turn up your volume. It says turn up volume.
Turn off volume?
Turn
Oh,
up.
turn up. Okay. Put
Top
it,
of the screen. The blue button on the top of the screen.
yeah, let me see.
That's why all the ways.
Hello? You guys can hear me? That's great. I can't hear you, but anyways, there's always a way around. Sorry? What? Yeah, it's 100%. So anyways, I don't think they can hear you guys.
We're only testing with
So there's always a way around.
Gemma 3 today, right?
This is,
Yeah, exactly.
This is
Gemma 3.
Diptam?
Yeah.
Still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, and yes, we are testing with Gemma 3.
He's like me, we never sleep. So he's got to be there. Okay, so let me see where. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Or actually, can anyone hear me from Zoom? That will be a problem to coordinate.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the sound. So that's a problem. But
No sound. Someone's saying, Professor Noble Arunava, he's actually a professor from
You can see yourself right now. So I'll show you a slide where what we're doing there.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Okay. I can't hear. Oh,
yes,
that is because I have stopped the speaker. Okay. Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Some sort of magic. Okay.
Can you say something?
Yes, we can. I'll take it. It's some sort of magic. Okay.
We can't hear you.
Can you see the screen and all this stuff?
I don't think he hears us.
Okay, so it's coming from my, if you can't hear, just let me know.
Oh, Professor Osiri is also there.
Okay, so let them,
we can hear you, I can't hear them, so that is a problem.
What?
Turn off volume?
Why don't you send a command?
Oh, turn off, okay, did I put it?
So we're not actually using our main Discord server to do this, right? For obvious reasons.
Hello?
We have
Yeah, can you hear me now?
server set up.
You guys can hear me, that's great.
Yes.
But anyways,
crashes our Discord server, who knows? I don't want to lose communication with all the folks I know in Discord and the students. Okay, there we go. Nitin is typing something.
Alright, so the command that will be running is installation ODP drag factor. The program command also drags the command as only one number of drag that is going to go. So the drag one set the command. Just what starts the meeting, the node start time will be published to Reddit. From the Reddit, lag system will pick it up. This is the lag signal for Reddit, and it will forward it to the agent. And it will start the lag pipeline. It's the relevant context for the agent, or maybe just the LLM, and then answer the query based on that context. There is any like the Reddit. There is the Discord stored the default process of internet already
Yes, so basically, let me explain that again. Okay, so what Nitin is doing is he's sending a command, as you saw, from India. Okay, Discord you can process anywhere, doesn't matter. So the Discord bot picked it up, sent it to the Redis engine. The rack processor is actually, all this stuff is running on my laptop, actually. It's not on the cloud, it's totally on my laptop. I'll show you which models we're using. I think 12 billion Gemma for this particular one. Anything above that, I can't run it on my laptop, actually. Okay, so rack processor gets it, then it retrieves data, sends it to the ADK in a generated prompt, and then it goes through the model. Oh, it's calling the model from the RAG processor, right? Did I get it right? Okay, cool. Did we get anything back yet, or it's still thinking? Okay, let me see if you're receiving anything. Creating sources. It should be. It's going through the doc link, right? Oh, this is a normal rack. Okay. Okay. Okay, so while this is happening, it's a bit slow. So Nitin, just let me know when you see the message, okay? So I'll explain other parts of this. So our goal is to get everything working through ADK. ADK is Google ADK. It's pretty recent. A lot of issues with ADK. And it does, the Python version does support Olava, interface, and all this stuff, but the Java version does not, right? So that is why we can only go to the Gemini Cloud at this moment, and that's all it supports. So this is all you get. If you go to the Python version, yes, you can do a bunch of things, and you can call literally a lot of the models, right? So did you get anything back? Or is it stuck? Should I restart something? Just wait.
Oh, Eclipse. I think so. Oh, we did get some responses. Should we move on with the explanation and come back to this and then run another query? Okay. So we have a bunch of things already set up. Like archive actually will show that in the next slide. LoadDB basically loads this vector database. ClearDB clears it out. E3 will give a demonstration. That's where the pattern engineering happens. ODP bot is what we are demonstrating now. ODP REST is going through that REST API, right? It's a very quickly created REST API, and then it connects back to the same RAG system, okay? CLI is the same thing, right? So CLI is not going through the Discord bot, but it can, you can write commands and all that stuff. So, do you want to see what's going on? Yeah, so until this returns, it's a single threaded pipeline. That too is taxing my laptop, so we have to kill it to run another one. Nitin, do you want to kill it? Or is it loading all the data? Why is it taking so long?
It's still like asking the question is there. Answer the question based on the above context, what's the backward? Going through a long generate. But then it will send it back. It's still in the generation.
Oh, still in the generation phase. So let's give it some time. Okay. Oh, I see something coming back. Oh, there you go. Okay. Hey, I'm very impatient. Okay. I ask a question, I need an instant answer. Well, LLMs are not like that, right? You gotta have patience. Okay. So and that too on my laptop. So we got something back. Vivan, you want to say a bit more about this?
When the user send a query to the main rack instance, that rack is in the similarly search on the field vector database and it retrieves the relevant document that is there in the vector. Now how the document is moved, you can download the PDF from the archive or from the investment phone and click from and use the ODP command that is move the database out of PDF or PDF. Now with the features are in program format, so the vector anything on the rack can see the relevant content from the PDF and then append the context around the question and then to the directory. Now the LLM has proper example on the answer based on the user content. It will not condition, but carefully as well as it will not back by back. And when the LLM is done solving, it takes it back the relationship that it is as per the answer and it gets back to the what is that.
Okay, great. And one thing that people are probably not noticing, it has all the sources. It has cited all the sources and the relevant sections from where it got the information from. So it's a preloaded database, even loading databases, and if I have to do embeddings, we'll be in twiddling our thumb for a little bit until it gets loaded into the database. So it's preloaded. We can clear it and do it again, but it's going to take some time. But reach out to us, we can show it to you on a longer demo. Today we have too many things on the agenda. You want to send the next query? Which one do you want to run? Archive? Okay. So archive is our next use case. So let me go a little bit into the details. I think I already explained. So archive is basically a command. We can send any commands. These are custom commands we created to the Discord bot, which is now, it's only single threaded. Though it's saying threading, yes, that's coming in the future, and I can run multiple threads for obvious reasons, right? So it goes to the PubSub engine, goes to this search. So it goes from that search criteria, it goes to archive. It'll download a bunch of documents for you based on what you're searching for. It can be chemistry, it can be physics, it doesn't matter. I like black holes, so I often search for black holes. So this will download the documents. We have restricted it to 3 documents only because of obvious reasons. Now it's going to take a huge amount of time to again create embeddings and go into the. So there's no limit actually, but the bigger number you put, if you put 100, it's going to take a long time, right? So we have restricted to 3 downloads. After that, it's going to take 2 paths, right? So it's going to do the document parsing. This is docketing. Docketing is IBM research project. It's actually open source. This is created by the same guys who created Discover. So IBM Discovery is a tool, Watson Discovery. If you guys are familiar with that. Awesome tool. So they've now open sourced it. And I don't know what percentage of it, but anyway, so there was Alan Braz from IBM Research Brazil was here in Chicago, hosted by my friend Professor Abhi Ali at Northwestern. So you can go and take a look at that presentation. It's all recorded. So anyway, so he was there and they showed a few other tools that they're working on recently, all open source. Then this is doing part of the job. Like NER, right? Named entity relationships. Those work very well. We started off with Core NLP, which is a research project from Stanford University. It is okay. We can give you a report on how well it does and what things. Second of all, we are now switched to Spacey. It seems to be working better. It does recognitions much better. We'll show you how the recognitions and stuff is working. And then it gets loaded into the Neo4j graph database. Okay, so then you can see the relationships. Now this is only partial of all the information that's in the document, all the relationships and all that stuff. So it is a research which is ongoing. There's no open source library that actually does that. So we're still looking into it. Okay? And on the top part, the same data is now going as embeddings to the vector database. Okay? So having said that, you want to run the next command? Get them? Okay, so he's searching for singularities, I guess. Yeah, archive singularity. Okay, so that's a very short criteria, right? So it's gonna, if you don't restrict it, it's gonna download like tons and tons of documents from archive. And why we're going to archive? Because it's all the documents are free and available. So that's basically the reason. PubMed and all these places have some free stuff, but not everything is free. So it's gonna restrict download of documents. Okay, but yes, those can be added with specific keys if someone has access to these. A lot of universities do, right? Okay, so is it something that you want to show from the command line? Yeah, docking is constantly processing, right? So, yeah, so this is the docking guy. It's sitting there processing, parsing data. Takes a while. It's not instantaneous, but yeah. But you restricted it to three documents. So then it creates a lot of formats. One of them is the MD format, which we are using in this particular use case, this particular demo, to get to the knowledge base. Do the relationship mapping and all that stuff and go into the knowledge base. Are we at PDF number 3? I see the third one, right? Third PDF. Okay. Completed in 108.47.
It's also updated in the Discord that processing of the PDF file. It will now move on to the main content.
Okay. Three successful, yeah, because we restricted it to 3, or else we'll keep on doing this forever, right? Each one of them is taking, what, 100 and something seconds, right? So, yeah. Hold on. Where's the, okay. Yeah, at least something is moving, right? So it's creating all these relationships, finding entities, forming the entity relationships, finding all this text and all that. Yeah, something to look at least. So when we're talking about thinking agents or something, it's basically printing out some of the stuff that it's actually doing behind the scene, and that's what it is. It's not really thinking. We can show you this. It's going to be more thinking than what actual LLMs are thinking. But yes, this is each and every step takes some time. Even with Neo4j, Neo4j is actually a graph database optimized to be a graph database. Pretty good product, but it's still not super fast as you increase the number of relationships. We are also going to investigate, we haven't done that yet. There's another one called MemGraph, and why I really like MemGraph is for one reason and one reason only. It has clustering, which Neo4j does not have. It does not support clustering. So if you have to do some sort of clustered data and mapping within the clustered data, you need multiple databases of Neo4j, and there's no relationship between them. However, with MemGraph, I think we have a better approach. Then we want to also investigate something that is known as like hierarchical RAG. So that searching process is going to be improved as well. Right, so the KNN search is obviously very slow. We can have hierarchical KNN searching with clustering and all that, which will speed up the process. So these are optimizations we're looking at. Hold on, where's the, okay. Yeah, at least something is moving, right? So it's creating all these relationships, finding entities, forming the entity relationships, finding all this text and all that. Yeah, something to look at it. So when we're talking about thinking agents or something, it's basically printing out some of the stuff that it's actually doing behind the scene, and that's what it is. It's not really thinking. We can show you this. It's going to be more thinking than what actual LLMs are thinking. But yes, this is each and every step takes some time. Even with Neo4j, Neo4j is actually a graph database optimized to be a graph database. Pretty good product, but it's still not super fast as you increase the number of relationships. We're also going to investigate, we haven't done that yet. There's another one called MemGraph, and why I really like MemGraph is for one reason and one reason only. It has clustering, which Neo4j does not have. It does not support clustering. So if you have to do some sort of clustered data and mapping within the clustered data, you need multiple databases of Neo4j, and there's no relationship between them. However, with MemGraph, I think we have a better approach. Then we want to also investigate something that is known as like hierarchical RAG. So that searching process is going to be improved as well, right? So the KNN search is obviously very slow. We can have hierarchical KNN searching with clustering and all that, which will speed of the process. So these are optimizations we're looking at so that we can run with minimum resources, not the huge amount of GPUs and millions of dollars that people are spending. Okay. So while it's still processing, this reminds me of a lecture I was listening to from Turing Institute. So Turing is someone, obviously Turing Institute is all these great people who are speaking there. One of the guys, one of the students actually asked, the professor, I forgot his name, asked him, so how big are the LLMs going to grow? Are we going to billions, trillions, quadrillions? I mean, what are we going to do? Like, well, the question is, throwing data at a problem does not actually solve the problem. It is not getting any intelligent, it's just throwing more and more data at it. My opinion is, as things go bigger and bigger, you have more hallucinations. Because now you have more connections that can be made and you can hallucinate. Because if at the end of the day, what it's doing is an attention network, which is just finding out the closest vectors and trying to predict the next word. And the bigger it gets, the more confused it can get, right? So say your head is jammed with tons of knowledge, right? You just can't retrieve all the knowledge based on the question. So the intent and the answering mapping is what's very, very important. That makes things a little more good. Plus, the other problem I see with these things is grammar. So they don't really understand grammar. The way they're generating text is amazing. There are some grammar models I was looking at, not very advanced, but the problem is, so let's put it this way. So if you put the whole dictionary in and dump it, it's definitely gonna find the relationship between the words and it's gonna answer. So that's how it's answering. It's not really looking at Wren and Martin. We had an interesting discussion on Wren and Martin. I don't know how many of you had read Wren and Martin. I had to read Wren and Martin. It's not so much popular these days, but so Wren and Martin was amazing for breaking down clauses and you had adjective clauses and all kinds of things that I totally forgot. I see that it's available on Amazon now. So, okay, by the way, it did finally finish. Oh my goodness. Okay, so it did finish, right? What is it saying? Send message to the requester, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so should we go to the KDB and see what's going on?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I see. Does it refresh by itself or not? So we're not very impressed with the way Neo4j actually shows these kinds of things. It's very hard to see. If I expand it, it might be a little bit better, but I can't reduce this pane and make this bigger or smaller. So, sorry? Oh, this one? Oh, okay, maybe it's gonna, oh, it's still there. Yeah, this one. Can I close this? See, this never goes away. That's the problem, right? So, yes, so Diptam was telling me we need to build a better GUI to look into this at some point. So Diptam will build that. What I was telling everyone is post 5th, we'll do all this stuff. So probably at some point we'll look into this. Okay, anyways, so nothing so interesting. We have only 3 documents. Let's move on to the next thing. Okay, let's listen to
and understanding the workflow of the OCR part. So our goal is to try to extract information from the original PDF files, research paper, to a JSON files that is ready for the NLP models. So first we use doubling to convert PDF files into JSON. And this JSON file actually includes text and images. And
no, what happened?
It's the input of text, images, and even videos. So we modify the prompts And let's demonstrate to describe each image and classify them.
Yeah, so I'll go a little bit quicker for time. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to look at images. Okay, so this is the graph part of it. So Hongyu, Forrest, and Faye from Northwestern, they're actually looking into this, and we'll have a report out by the end of this month, right, Forrest? Okay, hopefully, right? Okay. So he has a matrix and all this stuff, fascinating stuff. Wait for Forrest's report on this. But where we are with this is we are still in preliminary states. Hongyu, after doing this, is investigated some other libraries and models that can probably do a better job. Dockling has promised to come up with some OCR graph processing next month, so we will try it out. We'll let you know. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so this is where I was talking about the pattern engineering part of it. Okay, so this is the base of all the stuff that gets generated in ODP. It is not purely based on LLMs or models and stuff. This is the way the models are connected. Shantanu will talk a little bit about his app. He has a new entity now, we'll see how it connects back to that when just wait for his presentation. But this stuff is all the traditional pattern generation stuff. Okay. So here, what I'm showing is at the top, you have a library, that accelerated asset graph. That is what the library is, library of code. It's a pretty big library of code that actually generates this. Everything is recursive. So it can go down every single directory, infinitely recursive. My students have heard this word thousands of times. I love recursion. Recursion is the only way you can get rid of any limitations. So this is infinitely recursive. Each of the variants are infinitely recursive. You can have variant compositions and all that stuff. So I have a whole theory on patterns, which at some point I'll present. That's a topic by itself. Anyway, so it goes down to the partners, and Robin Croft is one of the partners we were talking about, and Shantanu will show a little bit about that. So on the other side, you have libraries of stuff, you have patterns, you have models. So each of these things are actually specifications, and each of them has a model behind it. So these models, and by model, I mean these are XML models. So these are XSDs. So what these models are very, very strict models, what they're producing, okay? And then you have the patterns. So the patterns can be anything. So since we have patterns that are generating UI and REST and all that stuff, we'll show you a little bit of the UI generation and the standardizations we've done in that. We don't have time to show everything, but so that is what the pattern engineering doing. It's very, very generic. So you can generate documents, you can generate scripts, you can generate anything else. Okay. Now we have three different things. We'll basically demonstrate the Open Development Platform UI, how it's generated through this, and then a plugin that works with this. Okay, so Diptam, you want to send the command over?
Yeah, I can send the command. It's !p3.
Yes. So simple command. What it does is it's going to go all the way down here. Okay. So it's basically you have all these papers and stuff that are generated because of the other stuff, the archive. It's downloading the archives over here. But now as this ran, nothing was here. Now we can refresh this. We have a whole bunch of stuff here. So what that is you have assets. Within that you have ODP. Within that you have a web application. Okay. So the whole web application got created here based on the pattern engineering that we've done. Okay. So we can go very, very deep into this. Don't want to do that. Let's go back into some of the theory behind it. This is what is getting generated. These are ways of controlling the pattern process, right? So this is basically cloning it to another directory where you can actually build the application and run it, which is going to be very different than actually doing it at the same place, because, I mean, you want those projects to be imported, you want to change it and do all that stuff. Okay, so one of the standardizations, what we are doing in this particular pattern is we are using React, Grid, we are using Carbon Design System. So this whole 2x Grid comes from the Carbon Design System. This is an IBM specific thing, which is open source. Great system. The best thing of that system is the 2x Grid. Andreas, I think, was on the call at some point. Andreas is from Guadalajara, Mexico. So he already created something, and he leads Center for Advanced Studies for Mexico. I think I saw FIAC at some point. So FIAC leads Center for Advanced Studies for Africa. So anyway, so this is the basics of all that stuff that we're doing. And eventually we'll be able to change anything through the pattern. Okay, so this is a big standardization. This is, again, a topic by itself. To me, the UI world does not want to follow a lot of the rules, and that is part of the problem. And that's why it's not so much supportable. It causes a lot of issues. So what we've done is we've gone back to the model view controller architecture, and we have redesigned the whole pattern based on that. Okay, and now we can map it to our pattern engine through an XML, and I can generate it hundreds of times. It's going to be the same exact code that got generated, right? So, okay. Again, don't want to spend too much time on this. You can have sort of a hierarchical tree here. You can inherit from the previous classes, though it's not class-based. So yeah, there's a way of dealing with that. Okay, and then, okay, this is another standardization we did. That is why it works. So this is JSON to SQL standard. So what this does is we have a constant, consistent way of going from the UI all the way to the backend and generate everything in between. Why? Because of the we also standardize the protocol, JSON to SQL protocol. Okay, what that does is, if you look at there's a filter criteria, there's all that stuff. To me, most of these problems in the REST API layer happens because of bad design. And that's what we have tried to solve here. Contact me later. This itself is a topic, again, how we can do that, and how we can change between different models and mappings inside the generation process. Okay, all the way. If the models actually don't match, which is not CRUD, it's going to be something different. It can be as complex as SAP structures. Doesn't matter. It's just a mapping problem. Okay, so database, Misbah is still there. Hey, so this is one part of the database. Misbah is going to talk a little bit about the stuff.
So just to add briefly on what Ron said, he's actually explained the entire demo, and then there are like a lot of models and application IDs that were like sort of that were part of the demo. So what we are really looking into here is the database specification. So basically, if we are looking at open development platform 5 years from now, or maybe 10 years from now, it's not just the core product, it's also the things besides it. How are we creating plans, pricing models, dynamic forms. Forms are going to get more mature when the researchers are going to engage with this platform, and also the service plan aspect. So all that aspect needs to be considered, and also the security of the platform, the authentication and the rules. So this is just a brief section that you can see here. It's a lot more extensive. Just sort of talks about how these departments and sort of role and APIs are going to be talking to each other and connecting with the product and the model aspect. Besides that, there is also an important aspect of pricing models. What sort of services are going to be used there? So services, different cloud platforms, how it's going to be integrating to that. A lot of clients would have different platforms they're going to be hosting on. So how does that come into play? And how we obviously want to be more flexible while creating a deliverable or creating a project and connecting it with some sort of scope of work that's going to be for the client. So that's all there. This is just like sort of a partial area that we can see. So yeah, well, more to come in the future. So
yes,
yeah.
Thanks, Despa. Again, database, internal database structure is a topic by itself. If you're interested, let me know. So there's multiple things, all the accounting, all that stuff will be taken care of automatically by the platform, right? So if you're doing some licensing, different type of licensing models and all that stuff. So basically, if you want to build products, come here. We'll support any sort of product you want to build. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the process engineering part of it. So this is also absolutely new stuff. This is our specification for this. You have activities and all that. Okay, so where does the AI stuff fall in, right? So you'll see, again, hierarchies of stuff. So let's go from the beginning of the hierarchy. So this is your process flow, right? If you have a very, very complex process flow, and within that, you want to use one part of something that requires AI. Okay, so can we support that? So that is why this is created in zones. So within zones, you have zonal areas of interaction. Within that, you have what I call activities. So activities is how you connect different things. It's nothing but any flow, right? BPMN flows or anything like that. Okay, and then you can select which type of network you want. So you can either select the network, so LAN chain or anything. If you're using AI or something, that's fine. Or you can generate it for that particular network. So say I want to generate it for NA10. NA10 actually uses a JSON file behind the scene. You can import that JSON file into NA10. And you don't want to use the system. You just want to go to NA10 from here. That's fine. So you can still do the overall top level stuff and all this. And everything can be monitored, and it's observability and all that stuff is built into the thing. Okay, we can go down to the function and the line where things are operating, failing, and all that stuff. Okay, so this is again the data structure behind the scene. Okay, so where is this whole thing leading us, right? So in the model environment. So you have AI models, you have model formats. So EUF is being used by Hugging Face now. Onyx was some time back. People were all using Onyx, and then PMML was even before that, right? So this is where things are headed. This we haven't tested yet. So that's the scaling of models. So how do we scale as we do things? Okay. Briefly, so these are the different modules that we have. So for REST processing, you have a REST processor all the way to monitoring RESTs and exceptions, all the way to deployment, right? This has a huge history behind this concept to deploying to pure application systems and all that stuff. And then UPO process orchestrator that I was showing you. Okay. Okay, a little bit about how students can get involved. The basic idea is the best students will bubble up into the system and into what I call academic research client services. So if you have to do some client services, they can participate here. DIPLM and some of these folks are already part of it. So they've already participated in open projects, capstone projects and stuff, gotten multiple certificates, and then finally you get this stage of doing reliable client projects. Licensing, this is the licensing model I initially only had. I was asked from actually the Saraya, which is from Saudi Arabia. They have a ministry of, they wanted all kinds of models. That's why I added more. This is to me, the mutually beneficial. You share IPs between the two parties. But if someone really wants to have a different sort, yeah, that can be supported too, right? So where only the developing team owns the IP or the client owns the IP, and obviously it creates problems, or if you even want to have a support model. Won't go into all those details, but this is our plan to go to market, and these are all the offerings that we'll eventually have. Okay. Would like to thank all the team. They've been working tirelessly, sleepless nights and weekends, and right. So that's Nitin, by the way, who was on the phone. Misba's right here. Andreas is in Guadalajara, Mexico. Obviously, he couldn't come here. I think I saw him on Vishnu. He's a student from Illinois Tech, and now he's doing a thing, what's it called, internship in Arizona. So he's not here. But okay, and Hari from UIC, and not the least, Abhi Majumdar and Adi, they're right here, right? They have been helping me code different parts of the project. So thanks to Adi and Abhi. They're the only high schoolers I have in this release. So thanks to them and our collaborations with everyone. Some of my services partners are here. Laszlo introduced me. I don't know if he had to leave or something. Nahel was here. I think everyone's leaving. So we'll hand over the thing quickly, okay? Ricky is still here. Okay, you're still surviving. I talk, okay. Okay, let's go ahead to our next thing. We have Robintroft. So what is Robintroft?
Success or failure ultimately comes down to leadership. At Robincroft, we help leaders find solutions to problems, raising individual and team performance and building high levels of organizational health. We help you uncover blind spots and tackle the tough conversations. We ask and explore the one real question: what's it like to be led by you? We'll introduce you to the Robincroft Culture Cube, establishing the current reality, the dream of where you're heading, and the differences that must be tackled that'll make the difference. Leaders grow when they get honest with themselves and with each other, understanding who they are and what they stand for. So who are you? The Robincroft 2S leadership model is our method for developing leaders. First, we'll help you unpack yourself, your values, your beliefs, what you stand for and why. Second is establishing what's in your locker. By using our unique skills self-assessment, we dig into leaders' skill sets across 5 key themes: emotional intelligence, resilience, people and relationships, culture and thinking, and the art of communication. We believe that leadership moves like the seasons. The Robincroft Seasons of Leadership framework helps leaders lead effectively regardless of the season they're in. Our insights, they come from 60 combined years of lived leadership experience in business, sport, hospitality and education. Sharing our 9 lessons in leadership failure that all leaders need to learn, our approach is personal. It's also practical, and if we won't improve performance, we won't do it. Robincroft, practical high-performance leadership solutions. It all starts with a conversation.
So Robincroft is a leadership coaching sort of organization. They're out of UK, and we've been helping them build their applications. So they will be eventually using our dynamic forms. Shantanu has been working tirelessly with them to build their applications through his LLM suite. So you want to come over and talk a little bit about it? I know it's getting late, but yeah. And he's he's from the Bay Area, right? So yes, you can survive the night, right? Here it's getting late for us. Oh, I have that slide actually. If I
can show and try.
Oh, I see.
Since it's doing something. Okay, in the meantime, hello everyone. My name is Shantanu Das, and I come from Bay Area today at 3 p.m. almost for this amazing event. And really appreciate the way I kind of saw the conversation actually evolved, particularly the panels, the students. I should bring them up because they added valuable, they did valuable contribution in today's learning. For me, it's a learning, and that should be the basis of my conversation in the next 5 minutes. I'll keep it short. Okay, so what did we learn this evening? Few things to summarize. We all love AI. We have concerns about AI. We have brought up situations where how can we do a better adoption? We talked about emotional intelligence. We talked about creative thinking. We talked about how to actually build knowledge or get the learning as we progress with AI. We also talked about that what can a complex system be? That's exactly what one of the panelists mentioned, that building a product is not the same as writing a piece of code. And in the fast forward, in the latest session, Ron mentioned that all these business applications are process heavy, and that is critical. Even it's critical when there is a mismatch in expectations between students and teacher, because the teacher is talking about the process. That's where the concern comes. It's not about you not be able to write a story. There is a process to write a story. And if that process is not learned, that's what concerns the teacher, right? It's not about the outcome, it's about the process that leads to the outcome. I think Ron gave us actually more details to that. And that's exactly, and by the way, Ron and me, we are very close partners, we work together. That's exactly, we came up with Center AI. Center AI is focused on empowering on 3 C's. When you do use AI, that could be in the form of LLM, that could be in the form of agentic framework or whatever service, you should be confident of what you are getting or what you are building. You should be able to collaborate very closely. We are not second-class citizens. When we are using AI, we are the first user, so it should be user-first application all the time. Yes, there will be agentic engine running all the time. That's fantastic, but it's user-first. And the third part is actually the third part is actually the third point is when we make use of artificial intelligence, we should have choices to make, and that's where the whole process changes, right? With that, I will keep it short, and I will actually jump to what we have been talking about today. For example, I think we actually had a situation where we talked about how to do a literature review. And if you talk to any academicians, to us, literature review is actually a lightweight task. But if you ask any academicians, they can point out that it's a complete process with several steps that we have to follow and validate each step in order to get a deep literature review. There are concepts of gray literature. There are concepts of duplication. There are concepts of think about like conflicts between several research papers. Everything has to be sorted out as part of the process. And to give a metaphor here, think about one particular application, coding. Building a product is more like writing a novel here, right? The novel itself is your final product. The script is your intermediate thing. But the process to get there is extremely important, and that's where Center AI is focusing on. To be more precise, think about it. I'm showing you a simple kind of script that will actually generate the dashboard, and the dashboard, let's say, looks like this. Very simple. This is extremely simple. I think there is a connection issue happening here, but again, in order to actually generate this particular application, what we are introducing is a design process. The design is extremely important, where number one, as an user, I decide what exactly my requirements are. AI understands my requirements. It educates me throughout the process that what are some of the options I have. It can take my feedback, it can process it, and it can get me to the next level of choices. That's more important. Having choices during the usage of AI system is extremely important. Now, at the same time, you can see when it processes my previous instructions, it knows where my intent is leading to. I'm not going to talk about ontology. I'm not going to talk about graph model and all this stuff. Those things are in the backend, but the value add is important. That whether AI is giving you the proper learning during the process is extremely important here, and that's what this particular application is aiming for. Now, another aspect what I wanted to focus is there can be situations where users make mistakes, so does AI, right? And here is a situation which I'm trying to show you, which is a low confidence scenario where, as part of the usage of AI information, I can make conflicting choices, and AI should be able to bring it up, give me options, what should I do in order to resolve it? And once I choose that, that's when it gets resolved, and that's when it approaches to the next level of the process, right? And then long story short, think about it, even for this particular login page, you may be using multiple libraries. And even though, if you look into today's vibe coding, it's about generating the content. It's not about educating you how this information have been generated and why they made that choice, and what more choices do you have in order to do that. And that's exactly where we are focusing as part of Syntax AI. This is something I'm planning to release. I will talk to Ron more tomorrow, but we are planning to release in 6 weeks from now. And anyone who will be interested to partner or participate as part of the release process, I would love to actually welcome them and build a partnership here. With that, I will pause here and I will see if you folks have any questions. What's that? The partnership model is you can be a beta tester for an individual contributor, or as a B2B, we can come up with a partnership similar to Robincroft, because Robincroft is one of our existing client, and a portion of the Robincroft application is coming out of this software. So we can actually come up with the terms. The way we have been following the pricing model is upfront. There is no money involved in it. It's all about value. Is that what you wanted to learn? Definitely. Robincroft. Okay. Yeah. I think Ron, the request is to have a demo of Robincroft at some point of time.
Okay, yeah. So I don't think we have it up running right now, but we'll do the Robincroft demo with the actual guys. Those are the Andy and what's his name? Paul. Paul. Yes, I'm bad with names, by the way. So Andy and Paul are the founders of Robincroft. We'll get them on a call, and you can ask them all sorts of questions. We are only the technical guys behind the scene, but they can answer the other non-technical stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you. With that, I will hand it over to Ron.
And Shantanu, by the way, is from my college, right? So good to see him. And even better to work with him. So that problem is solved. No, I didn't need an AI to do that. But anyway, so that's Shantanu. Let's move on to the next topic. And we are very, very excited about this whole prospect. Professor Abbott is still here. Okay, great. You want to come over and talk about the cognitive pathway extreme? It's an extreme program.
It's very extreme.
Yes, yes.
So extreme that it's so late. I hope everybody's still awake. Right? So after eating English presents, Vivan stay awake.
So you want your presentation?
Yeah, let's just make it up. Yeah. I'll be very quick. Yeah, I mean that's pretty simple. I'm reading these slides. You know. Can you do it? You don't tell me.
Oh, second one? Okay. There we go.
Okay, so we all know that prevention is better than cure. So what we're doing is with the initiative that I'm working with Ron and his friend in Sweden and Stevenson as well. We are building this thing. The idea is that, we here in America, you see every one individual, 5 people is suffering from some kind of mental illness, And it's a unfortunately disease that nobody pays attention to. Many people, if you see right here, 77% people don't even get any attention, any kind of treatment, right? So what do you want to do? The resources are available, but people don't approach them. Either they are hesitant or they are not aware that should I even access these resources. So where do we come in? Our plan is to actually do something about it, enable parents, friends, family, so they can help you diagnose before it becomes a problem. So are we suggesting that you should self-diagnose? Of course not, you need a doctor for that, right? Or what can we do so that it doesn't become a problem? Just a few years ago, I saw that Mayo Clinic just made this discovery that they were able to discover cancer 438 days ahead of time. That is remarkable. It's like 1.5 years. So AI can do that. So why can't we use AI to find mental illness issues? So that's where we come in. So what we want to do is, like I said, we want to empower and enable medical professionals so they can find these things ahead of time. We also want to empower and enable individuals, their parents, their family members, and their friends, so they can see these signs ahead of time, and then they can help you find the help that you need. But how are we going to do it? Well, we are all scientists here, as you know, so we believe in research. So the way we want to do is, we actually are going to use AI to use the most basic instrument in the human history is decision making. We make decisions every day. As an individual, we make thousands and thousands of decisions every single day. From choosing my shoes to my shirt, which door should I take, everything matters. And that is actually what we are going to do. We are going to start tracking this behavior and then identify certain patterns that can help us see what is going on. So in this example, as you can see, if you are, for example, on the blue line and there's a problem between 2 stops like C and D, what are you going to do? Are you going to wait for the pink line or purple line? Or are you going to the other platform and take the red line? This basic decision can actually say a lot about you. Okay? So why it matters? It matters because we are going to enable, individuals with that is going to talk about it, build a game utilizing augmented reality or virtual reality where you can play the game. And as you're playing the game, you're going to make different decisions like, Minecraft. It's like a maze you're trying to solve. And as you're making these decisions, we are tracking everything. And as we're tracking, of course, with information that can tell you about your personality. Or if there are any signs of, let's say, some mental issues that you can solve. So I am not a scientist when it comes to psychology, but I am a data guy. That's what I've done all my life, right? So that's where I come in. That's where I'm collaborating with Ron and Hussein, my friend here, right? So we are going to build the backend data, and AI without data is basically nothing. That's what I teach, in Northwestern University of Chicago. We can have a fancy car, but without oil or gas, the car is not going to run. That's why I tell everybody that you can build these fancy algorithms, but without data, they're not going to work. So that's where I come in. So we're going to build the backend infrastructure in terms of data, gather all this data, let's say we are going to build this game, and then process it, and then help people live a better life. Okay, this is some research that I got from Urban, but we are in the very early stages, and I would like to call on Diana, which can share more details about the game we are working on. And if anybody has questions, I'm here, or you can find me later.
Thank you so much. This is a very short presentation. About 5 years ago, Ron and IBM. Special thanks also to Carla Randall. She's in Guadalajara in Mexico. And Jeff Nyhoff, Professor Nyhoff, who is a computer science professor with a very interesting background in theater. We got together and we decided to implement this new methodology of teaching creative coding in the University of Illinois, in the College of Engineering. In this lab, it's called Electronic Visualization Laboratory, where I have honored to be a research faculty. And it's an interdisciplinary laboratory which brought a lot of innovative technologies, virtual reality, including virtual reality Cave and Cave 2 to the world. So I am a faculty there teaching creative coding for the last 10 years, so close to 8 years, right? And about 5 years ago, with help from, and we decided to take the trajectory of implementing new methodology, merging theater design, such as typography, which is very powerful in the School of Design at USC, and computer science and technology. So we came up with this plan, and we've been implementing it ever since. This is Cave 2, virtual reality theater. It's 20 by 20 feet cube, consists of 88 stereoscopic panels, create 360-degree observation point of view. So behind us is the entry panel, which is the merging, that completes the 360-degree accessible entry, for the handicap. You can step inside and you can interact with virtual reality. It's very exciting. This is what the lab has been doing, and it was a mission of EVL to do art science collaboration and empower research for the last 50 years. EVL specializes in collaborative visualization, virtual reality, visual data science, and advanced computing and networking infrastructure over the high-speed network, experimenting with the tools, techniques, frameworks, applications to enable interactivity to connect the groups together. When this was done long before virtual reality became a popular buzzword, about 10 years ago, with the proliferation of head-mounted displays. But in the cave, you can step inside and you can actually interact, with the project, with the objects, being inside and being immersed, into, let's say, a mind of participant, right? And you can do it as a group. You can see each other's faces, you can say hi, you can wave to each other, you can look at each other's eyes, expressions, you can really interact as a group. This is very, very different from isolation of head-mounted displays. So what we did, we created this computer science theater design methodology, and we taught it, for last 5 years. We have projects that range from mental health to global climate changes, from poverty for all to clean tech, from life underwater to life on Earth. And students work in groups of 3. They are students from computer science, from design, and now we have a new program, which I am a co-chair of. It's called Computer Science Plus Design. So it's actually a program which is into this. So we have usually 1 or 2 courses, and it can be anywhere from 40 to 70 students. And we teach this methodology in which students develop creative coding projects from sketch to the exhibition in very steep learning curve in 8 weeks, delivering for the K2. And at the end, we have this wonderful exhibition available for the public. I invite you all to join us next time, so just stay in touch with Ron. Ron is amazing because he brings what he did. Cave is not particle, right? It's a structure that cannot move. But what Ron did for each exhibition, he makes it available to the outside world. He streams it in real time. People are able to join us from Sweden, from Mexico, from any part of the world, and participate in this. Obviously, it's a bad experience to one time and step inside the cave and to just watch the stream, but it's still a great opportunity for those who are not able, to be in Chicago at that time. So we do it for 5 years, and this is the first time we're actually opening it up to experiments, and we will open the door for AI. We have not incorporated AI before. This will be the first year. Then we will work on opening possibilities of AI for the students to work on those projects. And one of the projects, or I would say the main project, for this year will be what Ron, Arvind, and the team of scientists and researchers are envisioning is to enable this mental health challenge with VR and seeing what kind of ideas students can bring to us. So we're really optimistic about this experiment. We're really looking forward to see the opportunities, and we'll report to you next spring. Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Daria and Abhi, for letting us know about all the new innovative stuff that we're trying to do. Arvind couldn't be here. He's obviously in Sweden. Next time we'll drag him from Sweden, okay? Once we get some funding, okay? So, hey, now you have no excuses not to come to Chicago and enjoy it'll be great in winter. Let's call it over in winter, okay? The great winter of Chicago. I think he has worse in Sweden, probably. But anyways, so the whole idea behind this cognitive pathway tree. Why? Because you're selecting paths, you're taking decisions. Can we actually gather information behind the scenes which are actually driven by psychoanalysis and research papers, right? So that is the whole idea behind it. Where do we connect with this virtual reality team is when we actually do a gamification of this idea, right? So I would like everyone here at some point play this game just for fun. Well, behind the scene, it's actually analyzing, and if you want to see your data, you can see your data. But the idea behind this, it is based on research. It's not just any psychiatric evaluation or something like that. Okay, just I wanted to give a shout out to all my collaborations recently. So, Kaul Institute, part of Illinois Tech. So I'm a mentor there, and we are planning to give our platform for free to all the startups that are starting until the point they get their funding, right? So it's always very, very difficult to get anything started. What we can help with is our platform. So that's what we can make it available to them. And I'm also a mentor at Polsky. So in fall, we're trying to do it in both places, and hopefully at UIC and other universities as well. So Polsky is as you know, the entrepreneurial center, and same as the Kaplan at Ford Institute. Maybe Abhi, we can start talking to Ford Institute at Northwestern as well. Okay, Kenus. Great collaboration. Like I mentioned once before, the students are actually doing some work for me for analyzing and doing the matrix for how the mostly front end tools, these LLM tools are doing. That report will be presented soon. Definitely by the fourth quarter, we will have that publication out. So okay, Kansas University, FAIC is FAIC there. FAIC is the head of Center for Advanced Studies over there. I mean, he lives in New York, but he is from Ghana, and and we are doing some work. Okay, the next one I gotta mention. These guys are extremely organized. Okay, they're in a small place west of Calcutta in Durgapur, NSHM campus. I met them when I was there in India a couple of years back. Then it matured to now they're doing tests to actually get students who are qualified to join the open development program and all that stuff. They're just waiting for fifth. Okay, so I'm postponing everyone. So 100 students are already selected to join me, but I'm just pushing them over. Gotta mention Osiri University. Professor Osiri was here online sometime back. So we're going to do some collaboration with them. This is a completely online institute. And since Professor Osiri is from Kenya, his target audience is Kenyan students, but anyone can actually join eventually. He also has a PhD program on this, so graduate, undergraduate as well as PhD. Another huge partnership. Okay, so Root Academy just signed with Root Academy. Going back to my cricket thing, Chicago Panthers and all that. So what do we want to do with them? We want to. They already collaborating with Adelaide University, and Sean is their performance coach. We are going to do some work with them, and we're going to create an app which Abhi will be helping me. That's the idea about how we can give suggestions like coaching assistant for cricket. So tracking balls, tracking skeletal movements, correlation, and then okay. So cricket is our first use case. It doesn't mean it's the last. So once we are done with cricket, we're going to move on to baseball and some other sports because if you can track skeletals and balls, you can do a lot of sports like tennis eventually. There's a collaboration we're at some point start with Illinois Tech as a capstone project or something. They call it iPro, and see where we go with that. They've already given me space to build nets and stuff. So hopefully this goes somewhere, and we're going to combine this with robotics engineering. So we'll create a package where folks can go from here for the summer to Adelaide University, learn about cricket, learn about robotics, some engineering topics and whatever, and come back extremely knowledgeable on both subjects, I guess. Okay, so that's the idea behind that. Gotta mention my friend Professor Mishra. We've been working with him. He's with Harvard University on the genomics platform. Shantanu sitting here has a genomics platform called Generate. We're going to see how we can transform that and have a better collaboration on that. But Mishra has his framework called FORL. So that's the collaboration over there. I think Professor Anumbe was on the call. Let me see if he's still there. Noble, are you still? I see you still there. You want to say a few words? Okay, so Professor Anumbe is from University of South Carolina. We've been looking at use cases where we can do the car project. Car project is one of them where we are trying to, basically we're trying to improve on the RL algorithm, reinforcement learning algorithm. We're using PPO for the time being. This is a completely open project with students improving on the algorithms and all that stuff in different universities. We're talking about how we can use a robotic arm. That dog, as you know, this Boston robotics dog, I think is a $400,000 dog. We can definitely do the same job for a lower cost. That's some of the things we're looking at. It doesn't have to be a dog to just go and. So what this is currently doing, this application is using IB Maximo and the Boston Robotics dog, which some of the cricket fans might have seen it hopping around during this recent matches and stuff. Completely use this. There can be better robotics that can be done to capture better photography and all that stuff. Have sensors in it to see where the problems are in the manufacturing process. So it can detect through Maximo. Maximo has a software. Before it became involved with, it became productized. It was actually a research from Zurich University, the Zurich lab in IBM, where they were trying to detect temperature changes and chemical changes and all that and stuff through visual recognition. Sadaya, Sadaya is trying to do a lot of things with AI. It is the Ministry of AI basically in Saudi Arabia. Misbah is actually from Sharjah, right? Sharjah University? Dubai and Sharjah, okay. And for us, we'll talk afterwards, postponing everything till the 5th. But anyways, now that 5th is here, we'll restart discussions with how we can collaborate with Sadaya. Okay, so some of the events and stuff that I did over the years, this was an interesting discussion about hacking into elections at Northwestern University. Dr. Khavi is there. He's also another person called Khavi. I forgot from which, it's written here somewhere. Wallace Khavi, but unrelated. And then this is our IBM person, IBM security person, CISO for IBM Cloud at the time. And then we had Mike Quigley, who was a senator. Anyways, that's all I had to do today. Been a very, very long presentation, and hope you liked it. And get in touch with me, and we can see how we can further do some collaborations and stuff, and see where it all goes. Let's keep the research going. Thank you, guys.